Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your Fave Fives edition 5. That's right, it's 555, number 5. That's right, guys, we doing it. It's the 5th one. I can't believe we've already done 4 of these. It's been over a year since the first one. It's crazy that we've been doing them for that long. John, dude, I had a lot of trouble with some of these lists, but I'm really hoping that that this ends up being as fun as previous ones because, like I said, this is a bit more of a struggle for me than usual. I ended up being able to come up with my lists like 2 hours before we went live, but I'm pretty happy with mine. How are you feeling, brother?
Brother, you know that this is my favorite TWitWoW series that we do. I put my list together before I went to bed last night, but I still ran into some difficulty, and even today I made some last-minute adjustments. So you know that you and I have both been pretty thoughtful about this whole thing. Glad to see people pile into the chat, because I want everybody to kind of celebrate their fandom here. That's why I love this series. It's not critical. It's not excessively, unpacking or anything like that. It's just all about who you love, why you love them, and what you hope for them in the future. So, man, I can't wait to do this. Let's jump right into this, man.
Did you do mass tagging?
I did do mass tagging,
Okay, awesome. All right, man. Well, I mean, if you want to get right into it, we can just start. We can go in order. First up, we have our WWE Fave 5. And before we actually get into this, I'm just going to leave it up to you. Would you rather go first, or you want me to go first?
You go first.
Me go first? All right. Well, honorable mentions. I'm going to start listing them, and then I'll pass it over to you, and you can give your honorable mentions. Here are my honorable mentions, and say something if I name somebody that we have in common. Ember Moon.
No.
Shinsuke Nakamura.
No.
Andrade Cien Almas.
Yes.
Daniel Bryan.
No.
AJ Styles.
No.
Dean Ambrose.
He's in my honorable mentions.
Drew McIntyre.
Honorable mentions.
Sasha Banks.
Honorable mentions.
Buddy Murphy.
Nope.
And Leo Rush.
Nope.
All right, well, those are my honorable mentions. Now you're up.
Dean Ambrose, Carmella, Drew McIntyre, Braun Strowman, Rusev, Finn Balor, Sasha Banks.
That's a loaded honorable mentions, man. I love it. All right, well, honorable mentions out of the way. Time to get to the actual lists. I think some people might be a little bit annoyed that I have this particular person ahead of a couple of people I had in my honorable mentions, but at the end of the day, I'm going by who I enjoy the most as far as what they're doing on television and pay-per-views and stuff like that. And really, I think it helped that we were missing this person for a little while, and it kind of allowed me to realize how much I enjoyed their presence on television. Number 5 for me, John, is actually Ruby Riott.
Oh, dude. I actually have Ruby Riott on my list. She's number 3 on my list, actually.
Okay, so we both have her pretty high up. That's awesome.
Yeah, Ruby Riott's amazing, but yeah, please continue with why she made your list.
I mean, it really does kind of come down to, like, I was really, really enjoying her work before her injury. And then when she got injured, her absence was felt in my eyes. I really missed her when she was gone. I missed seeing her. I missed, her kind of leading the Riot Squad. And when she did return, I popped a little bit. It was happy. I was, it felt good about it. It made me happy to see her. And now she's like, I didn't even realize it until she pinned Sasha Banks on Monday, but I cheered for her pinning Sasha Banks. Like, I was like, yeah, she would. And then a few seconds later, I was like, holy shit, she pinned Sasha clean. So yeah, man, I think Ruby's is a fandom that's been kind of growing inside me for a long time that I didn't even necessarily realize was there until very recently. So yeah, man, I'm becoming a bigger fan of Ruby. And now, since you have her even higher on your list than I do, I want to hear from you.
Dude, she's freaking amazing. I love the Riot Squad. I love the unity. I love the look of Ruby Riott, and she's so freaking solid in the ring. I still say that when she had that SmackDown Women's Championship match against Charlotte at Fastlane, I want to say that was last year. That was one of Charlotte's best matches to me. And Ruby looked freaking great. She's somebody, and I keep saying it, if we weren't in the age of Ronda right now, Ruby, to me, should be running the division as the top heel with the women's championship, with the protection of Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan, you know, the Riot Squad. I think she deserves a hell of a lot more than what she's getting. And I don't see her getting what she deserves again, because we are in the age of Ronda right now, and that's really sad. But you're talking about a woman that's so complete and so capable. And again, I do see a genuine personality there. I love all the backstage segments she has with the Riot Squad. And I wish she'd get a live mic more, because even if she is a bit rusty there, you're only going to get better through practice. So, you know, I just support her unequivocally. I think she's one of the diamonds of the women's division that really doesn't get enough love from my vantage point. And I really do hope that her 2019 is kinder to her than what her 2018's been. But her 2018 hasn't been the shits, you know, by any means. It's just, you know, it just really hasn't been where I think she belongs yet.
Yeah, man. I've really been enjoying Ruby's work. I think she is one of the few sort of complete women on the roster. There are quite a few women that can go in the ring really, really well, but can't talk. And I think Ember Moon is one of those women that, like, I absolutely love seeing her wrestle, but don't give her a mic, please. And like Bailey and, you know, those types. And then there are the women that can talk, but can't really go in the ring as well. And, you know, Alexa Bliss is kind of the poster child for that. So yeah, it's just nice that Ruby is kind of in that group of women that can do both. They can go in the ring, they can cut the promos on the mic, they can kind of do it all. And Ruby is also just kind of different. Like she has a different look, she has a different kind of in-ring style. I just really enjoy her, man. So she was my number 5. She was your number 3, but who is your number 5?
Straight fire Becky Lynch.
Oh shit, dude. Becky's on my list too. I have her at number 2.
Wow. Okay, so I'm going to keep my comments very brief because you have her much higher than me. This might actually be my first
comments brief, because like I didn't keep my comments brief for Ruby, even though you had her higher than me. Don't keep your comments brief. Just talk about what you wanted to talk about with her.
Honestly, this is kind of unprecedented in our series, because I think this is the first time I've had 2 women in the top 5 space for the WWE section.
Yeah, I think I'm on those same lines with you, man.
It's amazing, because much like Ruby, albeit in a different way, Becky is somebody that deserves a lot more, and I think she's finally getting it, though not in the way that we originally anticipated. I mean, she's one of the best promos in the company, male or female. You know, it's regardless of gender. She's a solid in-ring performer, and especially in a division where a lot of people are like, oh, this woman's a wrestler, this woman isn't a wrestler, which sometimes can teeter on gatekeeping, admittedly. There is no doubt that I think Becky is one of the best wrestlers in the division, without question. And I think everything's coming together for her. You know, we had a lively chat in the TWitWoW Discord, which you guys should all consider joining. It's only $3 a month. About, you know, Becky Lynch and everything going on. I mean, they had a poll up recently, which I voted on. It was like 94%. Yes, I supported Becky the entire time, and only 6%. Yeah, I supported Becky, but then Charlotte came along and I jumped ship. She's so likable. She's so sincere. Her power on the mic is similar to a Daniel Bryan's, in the sense that, like, when she says things that I could believe her saying, not what WWE puts in her goddamn mouth. I believe her. I believe her when she says she should be women's champion. I believe her when she expresses her frustration about Alexa Bliss and Ronda Rousey, you know, leapfrogging over her in terms of promotion and opportunities and stuff like that. You know, she is the everyman, and in the women's division, like that one person we can identify with, because we know what it's like to scratch and claw for something and get shit in return. And she just embodies that so well. I'm hoping we get a double turn at Hell in a Cell, and I'm hoping Becky ultimately gets her crowning moment at Evolution. I really don't have any confidence in WWE, but I support Cliff and every other diehard Becky fan, and I've always appreciated her struggle. I think the bug's kind of bitten me now. So, but I mean, it's definitely bitten you deep. So please, brother, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about Becky Lynch.
Dude, here's the thing. To me, Becky is I won't say unanimous, because I'm the one saying it. I'm not trying to speak for everyone else. But to me, she is far and away the best overall performer among all of the women in the WWE period. She's as good at or better in the ring than everyone else, and she's as good as or better on the mic than everyone else. She is untouchable as far as I'm concerned. And then you combine that with the fact that they have really given her nothing to do for the last, I'd say, year and a half or so. And then 3 or 4 months ago, which really, this is perfectly timed with our sort of the way that we break apart our 5 Fave 5s, because the last 5 Fave 5 that we did right after WrestleMania, before the Superstar shakeup. So it was actually before Becky really started to gain that momentum and really started to kind of become that sort of underdog babyface that everyone really felt like could potentially win the championship. And it all kind of started when she got that first big win over Charlotte, where she made Charlotte tap out. And really, then like she just kept picking up win after win after win, only to eventually be given a match that most of us feel she earned against Carmella, where if she wins, she gets the title shot. So when Charlotte comes back and just gets handed the title shot, that's what people are complaining about. And it's funny because the Road Dogg has been on Twitter, and Ryan Satin said Becky Lynch is finally being given a push and people are fighting against it because it's not how they would have booked it. The heel promo she cut on SD Live was better than all the jokey stuff she's been given as a face, and 10 times more fresh than another Charlotte heel run. Now, here's where I'll agree with Ryan Satin. Becky Lynch on the mic is better than Charlotte on the mic, no matter what alignment they are. It doesn't fucking matter whether Charlotte's a heel or a face. Charlotte's awful on the mic regardless. So that's the only place that I'll agree with you, Ryan Satin. Brian G. James, though, aka the Road Dogg, said amen to that, and people were like, oh, this is ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. But he continued. He said, I agree with Ryan. We've discussed before, and I'm sure, blah, blah, blah. But then he said, if I lose a chess game with my best friend, then beat him up because I lost, am I in the right? So then he went on to say, someone else told him that the story that we've been told is that Becky has had to fight and struggle to earn an opportunity at the title. Charlotte was just handed an opportunity and took the moment away from her best friend, Becky. Becky is right and justified in everything she says and is in no way a bad person, right? And I think you and I agree with that pretty much word for word. Road Dogg replied to that, that's not the story you were told. That's the story you wanted to hear. She had to do the exact same thing as Charlotte did, beat Carmella. They both climbed the exact same mountain. See, this is where I have a problem, though, because that's literally like if you're watching a race that's a 500-lap race and you tune in to see the last 10 laps of that race and you say, oh, wow, they were even when I started watching. So now that guy won, it's totally a fair race, even though you don't realize that that guy that just won beat had to come from behind because he had a bad pit stop or some shit like that. Like, Becky has been fighting for 4 months to get an opportunity to even earn a title shot. Charlotte took a 3-month vacation. I won't even, try and say anything about why she was off. She wasn't around. She was off TV. And as soon as she comes back, boom, here you go. You can earn a title match now. So yeah, even though the Road Dogg wants to act like they climbed the exact same mountain, that's only true if you only pay attention to the last month of booking. And we're paying attention to a bigger picture, which we should be, because it's the entire picture that we're trying to figure out here. So yeah, Becky. Oh, and by the way, we got a $5 super chat from TPA Cliff. Check out our podcast later. I'm going on probably a 15-minute long tirade. For now, let me just say that everything seems to be falling into place. So now I'm going to resume to what I was saying. And really, the biggest problem I have here with Road Dogg's logic is that he's basically trying to get us to only pay attention to the booking since like the week before Charlotte's return, when Becky beat Carmella to earn the title shot. Charlotte beat Carmella to earn the title shot. Oh, well, then clearly they did the same thing to earn that title shot, right?
Right. And to me, the whole thing, going back to what he said earlier about like, oh, if I beat my best friend in a chess match, to me, that's a false equivalency. That's really what it comes off as to me.
It really, because it's like a better equivalent would be, if you had a 3-way chess match involving someone that was your friend and a person that you both hate, and you're about to beat the person that you both hate, and then they come in and steal all the glory and beat you. That's a little closer. And I think that that's something that people would seriously consider getting physical about in the real world, because that's some bullshit. And really, in the wrestling context, it's even worse, because not only did Charlotte steal the glory from Becky by pinning her while Becky was about to beat Carmella, but she did it with an attack that starts from behind. You literally attacked her from behind. The natural selection is a move where your opponent's facing away from you. It's an attack from behind. It's an attack that Charlotte really started using when she was a heel and just never stopped using because she doesn't fucking understand the difference between a heel and a face. So again, like all of this bullshit revolving around the Road Dogg and the Becky Lynch booking and all that garbage is really kind of almost fueling my love for Becky and my love for the performer, because she is getting jerked around. And yeah, you could argue, oh, she's being given a push. But at the end of the day, whatever you want to call it, whether you want to call it a push or a heel turn or whatever, at the end of the day, it all serves one thing and one thing only. And that's Charlotte's story with Ronda Rousey leading into WrestleMania 35. Becky will yet again be relegated to a supporting role when she should be the fucking hero of the story. And that, my friends, is exactly why I think she has the situation, the talent, and the crowd support right now to be a Daniel Bryan level character in WWE within the next year.
I mean, to me, Catch Wrestling, who has joined us in chat, which I think is really cool, he summed it up best. Becky climbed the mountain. Charlotte flew in on a jet like the Flair she is.
Yeah, I mean, Becky climbed the mountain from the bottom, and then Charlotte flew in, 200 feet below the peak, just to, start climbing from the same point that Becky had reached at that point. So,
exactly.
Like, if you want to say they both climbed those last 200 feet, yeah, sure, Charlotte earned that much. But Becky climbed the entire mountain. Charlotte, like Catch Wrestling said, Charlotte got flown in on a jet and landed to be equal with Becky, despite Becky having gotten to that point through earning her way to that point.
Well, loved your exposition of why Becky Lynch is number 2 on your list. That's amazing.
Yeah. So you just said Becky was your number 5. So you already know she's my number 2. I already did my number 5, who ended up being your number 3. So I'm going to move on to my number 4. My number 4 is, I mean, hell, you already said hot fire. I'm going to stick in with the hot fire kind of trend, because I'm all about burning it down, because my number 4 is Seth Rollins.
Beautiful. Love it. All you, man.
Seth Rollins is the only dude on Monday Night Raw right now that I can enjoy no matter what he's doing. I'm getting sick of Elias only doing concerts and nothing else. I enjoy Elias in the ring, but I want more from him than what he's been doing. Braun, I've kind of grown cold on because of the way that he's been kind of portrayed as a bully in recent months, and they're probably going to have him go full heel now that the Shield is back together and all that shit. They're just the guys that I really was big on during our last Fave 5 for Raw. I'm not as big on, unfortunately, now. So, yeah, man, I just absolutely love Seth Rollins. He's one of my favorites. He's probably my favorite, sort of individual act on Monday Night Raw right now. And I mean, it's kind of explained by the fact that I have him ranked above Ruby Riott. They're my 2 favorites to watch on Raw right now, and kind of no matter what they're doing. Like with Bayley, if she's in a match, I'm in. If she's on the mic, I'm out. With Sasha, she never really gets singles matches anymore, which is what I like her doing best. With Ember, again, if she's in the ring, great. If she's on the mic, not so great. Ruby is amazing. Seth is amazing. Seth's my guy on Raw. And honestly, as far as Seth Rollins goes, I really do feel like he's another one that's kind of been snubbed in recent months. He probably should have been the one to end Brock Lesnar's title reign. I've been saying that probably since April or May. And obviously it didn't even get close to happening, but that would have been my preferred kind of story. And, the WWE, their whole thing with Roman is it's kind of like the way they were with Cena a few years ago. Even though he gets booed a lot, he's still outselling everyone else in the merch department. And especially now, because the report just came out that Roman is now officially outselling Cena in merch, because Cena hasn't been around in forever. So I'm sure once Cena comes back, that'll flip-flop. But WWE is going to see that as a huge sign of success as far as Roman goes. They're not going to turn around on Roman. He's, the top face, and he's going to be the top face until he personally decides to, not go along with it anymore, which I don't ever expect to happen. So we're just kind of stuck with him. But for now, we do have Seth Rollins at least. And Seth, if he's just going to be the king of the mid card, then I'm just going to enjoy the mid card than I enjoy the main event. And that's how it's been for years now anyway. So we might as well just continue that trend. So yeah, Seth's my number 4.
All right, man. I love it. I think that's great. My number 4, show him respect. Hideo.
Wow, he hasn't even done that much. Although I guess he has had some really good matches in the last 4 months. Yeah, that's right. Because all of the matches that he had on 205 that you and I reacted to took place in like the grading period of this 5v5. So that's awesome.
Yeah, dude, I can't fucking wait for September 1st, his final encounter with Marufuji. I mean, anybody that remembers from a very early installment of 5v5, I'm guessing that was either like the second or third one that we did, knows how much I freaking love this dude. And really, that's what I love about this series, but also makes it so difficult for me to do at times, because if you see people left off the list, or if you see people relegated to honorable mention or go down a few spots, it's not because my love for them is necessarily waned. It's more like what they're doing. Really,
yeah, dude, and that's how I feel too. That's why Andrade was only an honorable mention for me, because he's just not doing that much. Like I still enjoy everything that he and Zelina do together, but like they just aren't being given that much to work with.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas Hideo,
like if you remember on our last 5v5, Andrade was my number 1 in NXT.
Yeah, and like how I've talked about Andrade myself. So really, for you and I, it's just waiting for him to get that opportunity to just blow up and do something.
Oh, and by the way, I know what you're talking about when you say, one of our first couple 5v5s. The first one ever that we did, Hideo is your number 5 in NXT, but the second one that we did last August, literally a year ago tomorrow, you had Hideo at number 1 in NXT.
Yeah. And like, it's great to introduce him back into the fold. I think.
Oh, and by the way, the one after that, the January 1st, 2018 one, you actually had Itami at number 2 on your WWE main roster list. So you are just the biggest Hideo Itami fan.
Yeah, I freaking love him. I love when he's able to just kind of channel his inner Kenta there and go on strikes. I mean, his match with Mustafa Ali recently was brutal. His interaction with Gulak in that fatal 4-way. God, I want a whole match between those two now. Jesus Christ. His cruiserweight title match against Cedric, I thought was solid. And even watching today, now this was back in 2013, mind you, but watching one of his bouts with Marufuji, I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, this dude is one of the best strikers I think I've ever fucking seen. I love his intensity. Dude, he's got a great sense of humor, too, because between the whole thing he's doing with Mustafa Ali, and now he's proclaiming that he has the smile of 205 Live because he did that creepy promo. And with this whole Aleister Black thing, he's tweeted both that the parking lot is unsafe because he had a similar angle that never got resolved. And then he's like, there's no statute of limitations on a hit and run. So I love the dude. I don't really know what his future holds, because honestly, I could believe the rumor that says that WWE, reached out to Noah to collaborate because Hideo might have jumped ship. I don't really know how happy he is there. Only he knows that. But just to know that he's going to get to work with his greatest rival ever has me so fucking excited. And yeah, the dude's a freaking legend. He's always going to be a legend. People that are like, he's injury prone, you need to educate yourself. Okay, you need to go and you need to watch his shit because he's just fucking amazing. And I really hope that when it's all said and done, like, his legacy is one as just one of the fiercest, best strikers in Japanese wrestling. Dude's amazing. I don't know if he'll ever win the cruiserweight title again. That I think Leo Rush is next in line, but I've really enjoyed his 205 Live work. The dude's the fucking GOAT to me, and that's really all that can be said. So Hideo took my number 4 spot.
All right, man, that's awesome. You already know I just said my number 4. You know my number 2, so I guess my number 3 is next, and we already know your number 3, so you can do your number 2 next. But my number 3, someone that we've been watching a lot more of lately because of a certain reality show. My number 3 is The Miz.
Yes, dude, I love it. Take it away, man.
I just love The Miz, man. Like, really, since WrestleMania, and really even leading up to WrestleMania, he gets whatever the hell reaction he wants to get. If he wants the crowd to kind of cheer him and get behind him and, show some of that support, he can get it. If he wants, even despite maybe the previous week getting crowd support and really kind of hamming it up and pandering a little bit, if he wants to turn the crowd on him and make them hate him, it takes him like 30 seconds. He's so good at manipulating the crowd. he's really gotten to the point where I would consider him solid in the ring. Like I would say, you know, if Daniel Bryan's like a 10 out of 10 in the ring, I think The Miz is still like a 7 to a 7.5, which really, as far as I'm concerned, as long as the two competitors in the ring combined for like a 15 or above, it's going to be a good match. So yeah, I think The Miz is really underrated in the ring. He's amazing on the mic, probably, you know, the best or one of the top 2 or 3 talkers in the company, in the world, arguably. And the Miz and Mrs. show has just really just won him over for me, or won me over on him, I should say. He's like, and it's not even because like I genuinely believe that that's his real character in real life, because I'm 100% convinced that the Miz and Mrs. show is just a sort of improvised sitcom where like they go out of their way to set up these ridiculous situations, and then like the dialogue maybe is improvised, and maybe like the reactions might be genuine, but the actual situation are the furthest thing from genuine, because like too much shit just randomly goes wrong on that show for it to be legitimately real. But I think that that's also kind of part of the charm of it, is that like they go out of their way to entertain the audience, and I appreciate that. So yeah, Miz, really him and Maurice, you could kind of consider them as a pairing in this, but yeah, they're just great, and they're number 3 on my Fave 5, on my WWE Fave 5. So yeah.
That's awesome, man. So now I've got my number 2, right?
Yeah, man, it is number 2 for you, because your number 3 was Ruby, and my number 2 is Becky. So you get your number 2, and then we both get to our number 1. So who was your number 2?
El Idolo.
Yes. Wow. That's, dude, I'm so glad that your passion for him has not waned at all. The only reason mine has is just like I said earlier, I just haven't really been as into what he's been doing lately.
Bro, I totally get it. Again, that's the crux of the problem I have every time we do this series. It's like, oh, I love you, I just don't love what you're doing. So I totally get it. For me, though, dude, even though I completely agree with you, he isn't doing much. That match he had with AJ Styles reminded me that if they just take a chance on him, like, and see, this is what kind of pisses me off, and this may be the rant of the video on my end. They were so quick to pull the trigger on Alberto Del Rio. Like, no time at all. His debut match, he makes Rey fucking Mysterio tap out. And, like, this guy in Andrade, to me, is better than ADR in every way imaginable. Even that, and see, I just have to say something too, and this is not me trying to drag anybody again. This is a positive atmosphere, a fun video. But to people that are like, you know, Andrade can't talk, that's why he has Zelina. I agree. Zelina's an amazing addition. I've always said that. But I love how Andrade, like the bodily movement, and he works the ring when he talks. And as a heel, who gives a shit that he speaks Spanish? Because, like, to me, when he speaks Spanish, like, even though I don't understand necessarily what he's saying, I feel the intensity and the passion with which he's saying it and the conviction with which he says it. So while I will always say Zelina and Andrade are amazing together rather than apart, if the time ever comes where something would happen where they'd want to split them up, I wouldn't sweat it for Andrade too much, honestly, if you're keeping him as a heel. Like, the dude just fucking has it. His talent to me is undeniable. And the crazy thing is, we haven't even really seen the best that he can do yet. Because you want to see the best this man can do, watch his match with Drew McIntyre. Watch his matches with Johnny Gargano. Any of them. Particularly the NXT Championship match that was, TakeOver Philadelphia, I want to say. You know, where they just had that fucking clinic. This dude is a beast. I can't wait to see him mix it up, hopefully, with the Daniel Bryans and with AJ Styles again and this and that, and get it on freaking pay-per-view. The idea that you put this guy on the pre-show, to me, is an insult. I get that people have a slow burn, so I'm being patient. That's why I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It's just what concerns me, and I can believe it given the climate, is if the higher-ups don't even fucking watch the NXT product, which is just ludicrous as a principle, because how do you not watch what you're essentially paying for and bringing up? That's like me not vetting a product I'm about to buy online by looking at all reviews and looking at this and that. It just doesn't make any sense. But you know, they don't watch the product. I don't know if they'll ever know how good this man is, but we know it. And for me right now, that's enough. Yes, he's in this pointless tag team feud with another guy that I do like, but I've just been kind of mad on because to me, this is just kind of ridiculous. But I really do hope that the time comes either later this year or at the very least 2019, because it's a blank canvas, for Andrade to really own it, because this dude is undeniably one of the best in the world right now. So yeah, I just had to show him some love, because we're not giving this up until he's fucking WWE champion, which is where he belongs in due time. So he's my number 2, because he's just freaking amazing.
Yeah, man. And my whole thing too with the talking thing, because you mentioned, you know, keeping him heel and stuff like that. What I never understand about WWE is why they don't have their foreign heels cut foreign heel promos and speak in their native language and just use fucking subtitles.
Dude, I don't know why they haven't figured out the magic of captions yet, with how like much money they make, and they already do those stupid graphics of, oh, the Usos cut to an Usos promo or this and that. You really can't subtitle your goddamn promos. Yeah. Like, there's to me, dude, when you're in the position that WWE's in, especially relative to a company like Lucha Underground, which is much smaller in stature, like on those metrics, you know, financially and this and that, they subtitle their promos. There's no excuse not to do it. There's no excuse you could give me why they haven't done this yet. And I completely agree with you. They could do it with Asuka. They could do it with Nakamura. They could do it with Andrade. They could do it with. They could have done it with Rusev when he was the Bulgarian Brute. Exactly. Why they haven't done it, I'll never understand. Maybe somebody in the chat could actually pose a viable argument, but I honestly just don't see one. So completely agree with you there, man. All right, man. Well, I think I know who your number 1 is, and I know who my number 1 is. So I'm going to do a little 3, 2, 1, and then we're going to say the name at the same time. Does that sound good to you? Sounds good to me. 3, 2, 1. Samoa Joe. Yeah. Yes, dude. Honestly, I think everybody can anticipate what I'm going to say because I'm a dick. So you go first. Dude, Joe is like... It's so funny because you didn't get to hear what I had to say, and the rest of us didn't get to hear your reaction because of Google Hangouts kicking you out during our live reactions to SmackDown this week. But while Joe was like cutting his promo and, you know, Daddy can't come home to tuck you into your bed tonight because Daddy's already asleep, I literally said Joe is the best thing going in WWE right now. And this ranking reflects that, because I genuinely believe that he is the most entertaining act in the company right now. And you were just marking out, freaking out, but none of us got to hear it. So again, like, Google Hangouts kind of fucked us over, but we get to make reparations with our rankings here. We both have Joe at number 1. He's incredible. He's exceptional on the mic. He's great in the ring. There is nothing that this man can't do unless you're extremely superficial like Vince McMahon and only care about your heels and your top stars having 6-packs. You know, you really said everything that there is to say. And normally with a performer, I just kind of let you have it and save us time. But I love Joe so much, fuck it, that I'm just going to repeat everything anyway. This guy is fucking amazing to me. I have watched him choking AJ Styles out from this past Tuesday at least 10 times, if not more. Oh, Wendy! Yeah. Dude, I feel like that "Oh, Wendy" has almost become like the new Regal! Exactly. Seems like there have been a lot of promises, like your husband coming home to tuck in the kids. Only problem is, Daddy's already gone night-night. Drops the mic like a fucking boss. Dude. Oh, Wendy, I'll be your new daddy. Yeah. Oh, looks like I can't keep that promise, but I'll be your new daddy. Dude, here's my thing. And we've been saying this for so long, and I'm glad that we're actually, honestly, I venture a guess to say the only podcast that says it. I'm sure there's another out there, but we haven't heard it. That pro wrestling, is not a sport. It may take things from sport, but generally it's a form of theater. That's what you and I have always said. It's like an art form. Yep. And Joe just gets that, man. Like, Joe really understands, like, I know how to be the villain of this story, and if not at least the villain, I'll be one of the most interesting characters on the proverbial stage. Because he takes that mic, man, and he weaves a narrative. I went back recently, and I watched somebody break out the tinfoil hats because Roman thinks there's a conspiracy. Yes! This man's delivery. Dude, I think that's actually during the grading period that we're doing for this, too, because I think that was like
the week after the post-Mania Raw, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. This man's delivery, this man's diction, like his whole speaking style to me is so unique. There's an intensity and a believability. And you know what I love about Joe? Because it's a problem we've been seeing with heels lately.
Wait,
and I'm just,
you mean other than everything?
I know, right? Oh my God. But I'm so glad we're fangirling over Joe. Like, this is everything I could have ever dreamed about, and it's happening. I'm going to use Alexa Bliss as a reference because I really don't have the mental, like, I'm all over the place right now. We say that it's kind of weird for a heel to tell the truth. Like, what I love about Joe is that, like, you could believe what he says is true because he speaks so intensely and with conviction, but we see at times, like, it turns out to be false. Like, oh, I'm going to put Roman Reigns to sleep. Well, he lost at Backlash. But I love that Joe walks that line where it could have gone that way. Like, it's not that Joe was lying per se. It's just that things really didn't work out because you look at the man and yeah, you know he has the intensity and the credibility to put anybody to sleep. But like a heel, you know a heel's going to take their lumps eventually, and he really gets the art to me of being a heel. I would only argue that there's maybe one person that is a heel better than Joe in my eyes, and we'll get to that person later, and I'm sure you know and everybody knows who I'm talking about. But this man's ability is undeniable. This is the biggest compliment I can give Joe, which is also kind of saddening if it turns out to be true. You know, every generation to me has those performers where they're like, man, that guy should have been world champion. You know, I know, like, in the age of Hogan, it was like, oh, Teddy DiBiase and Jake Roberts. I'm sure there were some in the Ruthless Aggression era that I can't think of. But in this era, if it does not happen, which I don't think it will, and that's really sad, I will always say that Samoa Joe should have been a WWE champion because this man is too fucking good for second place. He's so freaking good. To me, his match at SummerSlam with AJ was match of the night. I freaking loved it. I really think they can have the best Hell in a Cell match, you know, in the post-Blood era, we'll call it, even though Blood still happens accidentally, but you know how they make such a big stink about it now. I think they can really have a clean, non-bloody Hell in a Cell match that's so memorable and so physical for its own reasons that fans are like, wow, this shit can work. He's amazing. He's amazing, and he deserves the world, and it really just saddens me that he's probably not going to get it. And it's not even for the worst reasons. That's kind of the worst part, is I can't even be totally angry at it at the same time, because there are other people working their asses off that probably will get it that you can't even say don't deserve it. So, Joe, it really is a matter of circumstance, and we'll just have to wait and see, but I'm not too optimistic about that. But it doesn't change the fact that consistently he's one of the best performers in WWE, and I'd argue in all of wrestling right now. Dude's incredible.
Yeah, he's amazing. All right, well, now that we've kind of gotten our Samoa Joe splooge fest out of the way, I already can tell you, I know we've got at least 2 more splooge fests on the way. But for now, let's move on to NXT. And since I went first for WWE, I'm going to let you give your honorable mentions first for NXT. So who you got, brother?
Here's the thing, and I got to specify this. I've got Undisputed Era, but I'll put in parentheses here Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole. Marcel Bartel, Bianca Belair, Johnny Gargano, Ricochet, and shout out to Catch Wrestling U. My final honorable mention is Shayna Baszler. Who are your honorable mentions for NXT?
My honorable mentions are War Raiders, Johnny Gargano, Kairi Sane, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, Otis Dozovic, and then 3 guys, or actually 3 individuals that we haven't seen much of, if any at all, so far in NXT. Keith Lee, who we've already seen in a match. Matt Riddle, who we just saw on TakeOver in the crowd. And Io Shirai, who is going to be in the Mae Young Classic, but is also signed to NXT. And I believe it's supposed to be on the next set of NXT tapings that are being filmed tonight. So I'm very excited about all 3 of them. And yeah, that's kind of like that next generation. Like I could see all 3 being in my Fave 5 on January 1st, 2019 when we do this again.
So now I go into my number 5, correct?
Yes, sir. Who is it?
The Messiah of the Backbreaker, Roderick
Yeah, I kind of assumed that he would be on your list because you only gave honorable mentions to O'Reilly and Cole, and you've been so high on Strong, really talking up how brilliant his backbreakers and his in-ring work is.
Dude, not only that, I want to give credit to something that we don't talk about too often. I love that this man's a heel now. Because, like, even if he is, because I don't know if you said this or if I saw somebody say this, but, like, you look at the Undisputed Era, like, NWO-style promos, he's kind of like the cheeky one of the group. Like, he'll come in and he'll try and make a funny. Sometimes it hits, sometimes it misses. I almost find that endearing in a way. Like, Roderick is just any heel, whether he's straight up dick or he's trying to be cool. Like, hey, guys, wasn't that a sick burn I just got on him? Guys, you know, it just, to me, it works. And then, my God, you talk about the in-ring. Again, we talk about eras, like who is the best in this era, that era. This era, I'm not saying is undisputed, although it very well might be, with how fucking great this faction is. But Roderick Strong, to me, is going to go down as one of the most innovative competitors of this era, because to take the backbreaker, which, again, we have Catch Wrestling U here, I'm sure you'd agree with me, it's one of the most elementary maneuvers in the game, and to elevate it to the art form that he has is just indicative of this man's just in-ring acumen. This man is a genius. Like, it's insane. We said he started at a very young age, so to say prodigy wouldn't be stretching it. I love this dude's matches. I love that he seems like he's having the time of his life with Undisputed Era, because it's not that I didn't buy him as a face. It's just as a heel. Like, you see what he does to people, and it makes sense. It just fits. Now I feel like there's a synergy going on with everything with Strong, from the in-ring to the personality to everything. And yeah, I am just loving his tag team with Kyle O'Reilly. I even said that, to me, Strong is a better partner for O'Reilly than Fish. Maybe it's been too long since I've actually seen the genuine article of Red Dragon, but I just love the synergy that O'Reilly and Strong have. And I had to give Roderick Strong love because, again, the dude's in-ring talent is undeniable. And whether he's kind of like the dork of the Undisputed Era, you know, trying to be cool, or just a straight up dick because he knows how good he is, I think he's got a personality too. And the personality, more often than not, is kind of understated. So yeah, Roderick Strong being in my number 5, that is undisputed. So who is your number 5 for your NXT?
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. By the way, I did want to point out, kind of interesting little observation here. 3 of the people that you've got in your honorable mentions actually made my Fave 5.
That's amazing. I can't wait to hear this.
Yeah, well, and I know we're going to share a number 1 here, and I'm guessing that the other person that's in my Fave 5 that wasn't in your honorable mentions will also be on your Fave 5. You might even have him higher than me, so we'll see. But starting out with number 5 for me, Shayna Baszler. I had to stick her in here because I just feel like she is, in her own way, she's carrying the NXT women's division on her shoulders. She is sort of the ultimate target that everyone has to aim for. And even though Kairi ended up beating her for the title, and Kairi I did mention in my honorable mentions because I do enjoy her work, but I'm sure she'll be higher on this list for you. I feel like Shayna is such a great villain and such a great antagonist that it's allowed people that, unlike you, might not have cared as much about Kairi Sane to really get into her character because of her standing up to Shayna and eventually on this past takeover beating her. I think that Shayna is doing a lot of favors for a lot of the women in NXT, even if she'll verbally put them down and act like, oh, they don't stand a chance against me. When they hang with her, it makes them look better. And when they beat her like Kairi did on Saturday, it makes them look like $1 million. So, and Shayna, as far as her in-ring work, I just love her style. It's very kind of Suzuki-esque in a way that she's just kind of a bully and she'll find a limb and do what she can to manipulate it and to ruin that limb in any given match. And her mic work isn't amazing, but it is one of the better in NXT. She's one of the better mic workers as far as the females go, at least in NXT in my eyes. So yeah, props to Shayna Baszler. And I believe she is the first female to be in my NXT Fave 5 for a while now. Like I can't even remember the last time I had a female wrestler. Actually, no, I do. It was last year's January 1st edition, and it was Shayna again. So this is actually the second time that Shayna Baszler has made my NXT Fave 5. And the last time before that any female act in NXT made my Fave 5, it was the Iconic Duo at number 2 a year ago tomorrow.
Amazing, dude. Yeah, I've already spoken about Shayna, on the podcast and stuff. I love that she has so many old school influences that she kind of modernizes in her offense. She's fantastic. Love that you showed her love in your Fave 5. So I guess now on to my number 4, Velveteen Dream.
Nice. And I'll let you know right now, he didn't make my list this time around.
That's fine, man. That's fine. Again, that's why I love this series, You know that the true ones, they say diamonds are forever. Whoever can hold on to their spot, there's something really special. And I won't even say that Velveteen will be on my list for 5 number 6, in several months from now. But for right now, to me, his charisma to me is off the charts. And really why I think he makes this list is not just everything that he is, which is exceptional, but also what he can still become. Because the dude's so fucking young. Like, he's at an age where we're going to see a lot of ebbs and flows with him. We're going to see a lot of gimmick changes, face turns. We're going to see everything with him. Like, he is at an age where the whole horizon is yet to be conquered for him. And that is so exciting for me. Because he's Velveteen Dream now. Is he even going to be Velveteen Dream 5 years from now? You really have to wonder. Or is this going to be a lifetime gimmick? You never know. But right now, in this moment, I think he's one of the best talents that NXT has. I've been calling for him to feud with Tommaso Ciampa because I think he would have so much fanfare on his side. And I'm just fascinated by that dynamic. This sick psychopath that just kind of tells it like it is versus a man that's, so flamboyant and, has his own, way of speaking in the third person, this and that. It's such a collision of forces to me. So happy he beat EC3 at TakeOver Brooklyn 4. I think he needed that win. And whatever he does next, I'm here for it. I think more often than not, he makes his feuds in NXT the best feud going in the brand. I'd say this time was an exception, given everything else that was going on around him. But it wasn't for lack of trying on his part. His future really excites me, dude. And when we talk about the youth movement in wrestling, he's one of those prospects that I just smile thinking about the kind of future he'll have. So, yeah, Velveteen Dream was number 4 on my list, and can't wait to see what he does next.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, though, man. I love that you've got Velveteen Dream up there. And now, getting over to number 4 on my side, I think I'm about to name somebody that you and I are going to have in common here. Number 4 for me was Tyler Bate.
Oh, Tyler Bate was number 3 on my list, actually.
Oh, sweet. So we're not skipping that far ahead. That makes me happy. Yeah, man. I friggin' love Tyler Bate. Tyler Bate's amazing. He is, in my eyes, the best in-ring worker that NXT has today. And I would say a top 3 to 5 in-ring worker in the WWE as a whole. He is absolutely incredible between those ropes. And I think the biggest reason he wasn't higher on my list is because I don't really think that he's that great on the mic. And even if he was good on the mic, we don't really hear him talk very often. We've heard really like 2 promos from him in his entire NXT career, I feel. And the most recent one was, him kind of getting outshined on the mic by Trent Seven. So Tyler Bate in the ring is really why he made the list for me at all. And he's so exceptional in the ring. I had to put him up higher than Shayna because, Shayna, she's pretty good in the ring. She's pretty good on the mic. She's not really exceptional at anything other than just kind of being that heel target for all the babyface women to kind of go after. But Tyler Bate, man, he is for WWE to me what Ishii is for New Japan, because he's undersized. He's not really a guy that you have these crazy expectations for. But when he gets in those ropes, he gets you invested, and he is a match of the year making machine. I love Tyler Bate, but now I want to hear what you think about your boy, Tyler Bate.
Damn thighs, though. God damn. Yeah, no, in all seriousness, first of all, he is a physical freak. That's why I joke about the I mean, look at this dude's build. Ridiculous. Second of all, a lot like Velveteen Dream, 21 years old. And see, what excites me about that dude is even if he is an okay or even bad promo, to be that young, to me, I would almost chalk it up more to he hasn't even found his voice yet. The more he wrestles, the more feuds he has, the more ups and downs he experiences as a character, the more he's going to be able to put his finger on the pulse of what his voice is. And when he finds it, I'm not saying he's going to be the next CM Punk, but I could see Tyler Bate being a decent enough promo to speak with believability and conviction, which is what I think the best we should hope for anybody that picks up a microphone. In ring, the dude's talent is undeniable. To be able to do everything from the power game to technical stuff to high flying, you want to talk about a well-rounded performer. You see Tyler Bates' picture underneath the term. I'm so excited for this dude. NXT Tag Team Champion, inaugural UK Champion. I honestly want to give him the world. I would love if he would be a future Intercontinental Champion. Is he under 205 or above 205 pounds?
Wait, is that a real question? He's like 5'8", dude. He probably weighs like 165.
Yeah, I figured as much. So maybe we can call him a future Cruiserweight champion. I really want them to start intermingling on other brands because, see, like, it's not even just like a fantasy war thing or anything like that with me. It's like you got guys even this young coming up to be a part of 205 Live. I mean, Leo Rush, he's 23 years old. Like, these guys cannot just be in this fishbowl forever, no matter how amazing it is. And I've given 205 Live the credit. I think this is a legitimate criticism. I am not backing down on this. Like, Tyler Bate as a future Intercontinental Champion, I believe it. Like, I can even see him holding that title up above his head. I won't go as far as to say Tyler Bate's a future World Champion, although I'd love for him to prove me wrong. My God. But could this guy be one of the best Intercontinental Champions that belt has ever seen? Or US, depending on what you want to do. Absolutely, I believe it. Abso-freaking-lutely, I believe it. This dude is incredible, and I know his best years are still ahead of him, and that's horrifying given the body of work that he's putting together right now. Most people his age, I mean, maybe not so much anymore. Maybe the culture really is changing. But I'm sure there was a time where most people his age were trying to figure out how to balance college and wrestling school, and here he is having Match of the Year contenders. It's like, it's fucking crazy to me. So yeah, Tyler Bate forever. I fucking love this dude, and I can't wait to see what he does next because he just has me salivating in more ways than one.
He's amazing. So, dude, if Bate was your number 3, I guess it's my turn to give my number 3, right?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I mentioned earlier, hey, I've got 3 people on my list that were in your honorable mentions. Our number 1 is most likely going to be the same person, and I've got someone on my list that you're probably going to have higher on my list. You already know Tyler Bate was the guy that I had on my list that you had higher on your list. So the other 2 people, other than the number 1, I'm basically saying they were your honorable mentions. So my number 3, Ricochet.
Yeah, dude, all you. All you, take it.
Puma was my boy for the longest time, and then I got really jaded on him and like wasn't happy because he was talking shit about Lucha Underground, and then kind of Mill kind of overtook him as well. But at the same time, now that he's in NXT, all that shit gets swept under the rug because his in-ring talent is undeniable. He's incredible, and it's not just, oh, he can do flippy shit. It's the way that he is able to sell and put other guys over and make other guys look like $1 million. Dude, he had the most memorable moment of the weekend, aside from Becky's quote-unquote heel turn, in the sell of Adam Cole's super kick off that springboard moonsault. Like, everyone was talking about that, and that's going to be the moment I think that lives even longer than Becky's heel turn, because heel turns happen pretty frequently. Big spots, big moments like that are like a once every couple years kind of moment, and Ricochet was on the receiving end of it, and he was the one really, I think, that made it look as brutal as it did. And really, I also want to kind of give him props because he did take an actual kick to the neck coming off that moonsault, and like they slow it down and you can literally see Cole's foot making direct contact with Ricochet's neck. So yeah, man, it's brutal. It's you know, Ricochet, he's also, I think, gotten better in NXT on the mic, because like in Lucha Underground, he kind of always had to speak in a way where he was trying to convince people that he was Hispanic, even though he wasn't. And now he kind of speaks more naturally and more like he would probably speak in you know, real life. And it comes off way better to me. So yeah, I'm just a big fan of Ricochet and his in-ring work. And even on NXT, I think his mic work's gotten better. You know, he's still got some work to do on that, but it's gotten much better. So yeah, man, Ricochet is my number 3. So I guess moving on, who is your number 2?
Oh my God, Kairi Sane.
Oh, okay. I should have known. Oh my.
Oh my God. She's the best. Just really. I was so happy at TakeOver Brooklyn 4 when she beat Shayna Baszler for the NXT Women's Championship. like, really, it's amazing because we know that a babyface generally, we just define it very plainly as a good guy. But why it works for Kyrie is she's such a good person in and out of the ring. Like, I believe her with all of her sweetness. I don't think it's a put on. She's just that pure, and this world doesn't deserve her and protect her at all costs. Oh my God. I love too that she's still adapting her game. That anchor submission is legit as fuck. And I want to see her versus Bianca Belair. I want to see her versus Io Shirai. I want to see her versus the world as NXT Women's Champion. And I'm just enjoying the run. I honestly don't expect it to last too long, but whoever she drops it to, you know, I hope they do great. And I'm just enjoying the run for as long as I can because she's so wonderful. And speaking of Mustache Mountain, because we mentioned Tyler Bate, they're a part of her crew. They gave Kyrie a mustache and she's still adorable. She's still adorable with a mustache. Oh, God, this woman is everything. Like, I've never, and here's the thing, Johnny Scumbag and all those jokes aside, I've never reacted to a babyface with like this much excitement and joy in my life. Like, I was the biggest, and you know this, I was the biggest Chris Benoit fan, but I wasn't always like, oh God, Chris, so happy. No, like I always just ran with him. Like, he was very serious. I was very serious. Like, oh, well, that challenge won't do any good. But with Kyrie, it's like, I don't know. It's like the sun just invades my very being. And it's like, oh, this is a nice living space. And I'm like, you can stay as long as you want because you're the sun, the fucking sun. And it feels good, man. It feels good. I know. Every time she's on a list, I don't even really give an argument. I just give incoherent diary ramblings. I don't give a fuck. Kyrie is...
No, dude, this is like my favorite thing. The like, way that you talk about her.
Kyrie is like everything that's right with wrestling because again, and that's why I even have tried to change my approach a little bit because I'm tired of ranting and I'm tired of being angry. And yes, there are things that WWE does on a company level that make me angry and make me rant. But when it comes to the stuff in the ring, you got to be able to enjoy it on some level. And with Kyrie, I don't think about, was that her best match? Was that her worst match? I think, how much does she have left to give? Can she get that 3 count? Can she get that submission? Can she endure? I enjoy the journey. I enjoy setting sail with Kyrie Sane. And as a babyface, if you can take somebody, especially fans like us that come up here and talk about it as part of our day-to-day lives, and you can take me there, where I'm not thinking about what I'm going to say in a review, or did this spot come off right, or is this push warranted, and I can just be in the moment, or a word that I've been using lately, mindfulness. Kyrie, on a very serious level, makes me so mindful of what's going on in the moment, and I really appreciate her for that. And again, as a babyface doing it, I think is so wonderful, and she deserves everything she's gotten. I don't know how long it'll last, and I'm not going to front. It petrifies me, her being called up to the main roster, because I don't think they're going to use her right. I don't think they know what they have in her as one of the best women's wrestlers going right now. I could see her having clinics with Sasha, Bayley, Becky, even Charlotte. I think her and Charlotte could have at least a decent match. But I don't know if she'll ever get there, and if she does, I could see her losing all of those matches, which isn't a problem in and of itself. I just know how WWE, they almost treat wins and losses like they're literal things. Like, oh, you're shit, so, you know, whatever. And I just think Kyrie is amazing. I still haven't forgiven WWE for having them have Dana fucking Brooke eliminate her from the Women's Royal Rumble. That is ass. And I am not going to forget it for a long time. But I see her with the NXT Women's title and how supportive everybody's been. And she does her pirate dance with the title now, and she has a treasure chest with it. She has a fucking treasure chest for her championship. Like, yes. May we all love something as much as Kyrie Sane just loves life and loves her fellow man.
Dude, did you see the tweet that she got from a parent showing their little 2-year-old daughter trying to help Kyrie beat Shayna?
Yes!
She was like, ahoy, thank you for your help, Abby. She's so great.
She is, dude. Like, oh my God, my feelings being manipulated in the best way, this lovable angel.
Dude, I feel like you get with Kyrie the way I get with puppies.
Dude, yes. Because I was even here, because you sent me that video last night of this puppy, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's cute, because I waited for a face shot, and it was genuinely cute. But yeah, like, I'm hearing you talking, I'm like, Oh my God, that's me with Kyrie. Like, this woman, like, I don't know. She could do the most heinous thing imaginable. And then if it was Doku, I'd be like, yeah, Doku, do it. Like, this woman can do no wrong to me. And that's utterly horrifying for so many reasons. But I ain't going to question it. She's number 2. She's freaking great. Long live the Pirate Princess.
There you go. All right, guys. That was John's number 2, and now we get to our. Or no, wait, I have my number 2 to give yet. Oh shit! All right, well, this is easy enough. My number 2 is Adam Cole, baby.
Oh yes, give us that sermon. Give it to us.
God, dude, he's so good. And the thing is, I really wanted to try and fit Kyle O'Reilly onto my list, but I just feel like he hasn't done as many national treasure type things over the last 4 months compared to the first 4 months of the year. So I just had to unfortunately snub him, and I hate for myself for it. But Adam Cole just continues to be exceptional at everything he does, whether it's in the ring, on the mic, facial expressions, body language, acting, everything. Adam Cole is everything. Adam Cole is like low-key the 5-star match machine in NXT, because to me, his match with Ricochet on TakeOver, whatever the name of the last TakeOver was, TakeOver Brooklyn 4, was the best match of the night, and really the best match of the whole weekend to me. He already had a 5-star match in NXT, that ladder match that he was in with a bunch of other guys. But really, like, it was him and Ricochet that kind of stole the show in that match. So again, they get to work with each other this weekend, and they tear the house down. Adam Cole's just so good. He's undeniable to me. I freaking love Cole. I'm never gonna probably not have him on my list unless he just gets injured and doesn't show up for the grading period or whatever. But yeah, man, and like the promos too. His promos are so good, and I love him and O'Reilly making fun of Mustache Mountain, talking about, oh, you think you're going to be 100%, but you've never been 100% in your life. If you're 100%, what does that make us? 500, 600, 1,000%? It's just so good, and I love it. And Adam Cole's just incredible, and we've even gotten people in chat saying he's God.
Dude, I love how much you love Adam Cole, first of all. Like, it just puts the biggest fucking smile on my face. Second of all, I say again, I really feel like now this 5v5 is kicking up. See, now we're getting to the essence of what this series is all about. This man, I say again, WWE champion in his first calendar year on the main roster. Like, push Undisputed Era to the fucking moon. I keep hearing, dude, even now, I keep hearing that WWE wants a new NWO. You already have it made. Just call them all up in bulk and don't fuck it up. And, like, I know that's very difficult for them, but we can hope, because this dude is the kind of guy that main events manias. This dude is the kind of guy you put on your promotional posters. He really is undeniable. He's everything. And above all, he's undisputed. He's fucking wonderful. Absolutely agree.
Yeah, I love Adam Cole. So now, John, I mean, do we really need to hype it up that much? I think everyone already knows who our consensus number one's going to be. So, I mean, if you want, we can say it.
Do you want to say it in unison like we did for our WWE one, or do you want me to just go
No,
first?
we definitely have to say it in unison. Yeah. You ready?
Okay. Yeah, okay.
2, 1.
Tommaso Ciampa! Ciampa Daddy!
Oh, God.
You know what? I'm already having excited voice, so I should probably go first. Oh my God, what an amazing heel. Ciampa is so wonderful. Dude, here's the thing about Ciampa. I'm going to try and bring it down a bit so we can have a nice conversation. But he's so good. Oh my God. I don't know why so many heels are making me realize the true depth of my sexuality, because fuck, Ciampa's so good. But we've watched Ciampa for several years, like from PWG and other places. I've never loved this man as much as I do right now. Like, if I'm really being truthful, at most, I'd be like, oh, Ciampa's entertaining. But in NXT with this run, this whole DIY story, it's like, no, Ciampa's the best heel in the goddamn industry right now. Like, it's amazing how much he's evolved, not only as a performer, but in just my personal standing with him. you know, which is the whole point of this series. If this would have been the Ciampa of, like, say, PWG or this and that, like if this was like the other category, he might have made an honorable mention. Wouldn't have been anywhere near my top 5. To know that he's number 1 in probably one of the hottest brands in wrestling, NXT, is a testament to how amazing this dude is. Dude, this dude is so fucking next level. Not only does he do the character on social media better than anybody, where you got fucking Titus tweeting pictures of him, Braun Strowman, and Roman Reigns together when Braun and Roman were feuding. Not only does he use social media correctly as a character, dude, he's got deprivation down to an art. Because everybody was so excited when Ciampa finally had merch, right? And I'm like, oh shit, so he released the shirt. No. He made a completely separate Ciampa shirt, while the one that everybody wants still belongs to exclusively him. So as a heel, he says, oh, I got your money, and I keep the shirt. Dick bag. And I fucking love it. This man can go, and this is on WWE's YouTube channel, and do like his network pick of the week, because they always have that stuff to try and get you to watch the network. And he goes through the whole Gargano fairy tale, almost like Adam Cole's story time, but with Tommaso Ciampa, which I am totally okay with. And he talks about how Gargano's father had a heart attack. Like, I love that he goes there. I love that we're still in a climate where we can go there. I love that he pushes the envelope. I love that when this man speaks, you want to rage, you want to get angry, you want to, pound your fist, but you're pretty much like that image of the guy holding the finger up, getting ready to say something, but then he's stumped. He's like, damn. Because he's telling the truth. Yeah. Everything about this man, from the presentation to the in-ring, it's perfection. How he retained his title at Brooklyn 4 was fucking genius. And then he looks right at Gargano, who's going to miss like 10 weeks of action, and holds up the NXT Championship, which Gargano couldn't even correct what he's done. That's what this is about for Johnny. Like, oh, I've got to make things right. I've got to stop Tommaso Ciampa. To know he couldn't do it. Not only does he have to sit with that injury, he has to sit with that guilt just weighing him down and crushing him. And Ciampa's going to relish it. Like, this dude's perfect. This dude, honestly, we talk about, like, training people and stuff like that. Everything that Ciampa does, students of the Performance Center or elsewhere, if you're looking to go to the Performance Center, they need to watch what this fucking dude does and how he carries himself and take notes. Because this is one of the best heels I've seen, maybe even in the last decade, if I'm truthful. This is unfucking believable to me.
Dude, and I love that DBK in chat even said he remembers from my personal 5 Fave 5s, the first and only one that I did before you and I started this series, back in 2012. Ciampa was my number 1 in Ring of Honor. So I've been on the Ciampa train for as long as anyone has been on the Ciampa train.
Hell yeah.
It's like full circle now because he's number 1 in NXT. I wonder if this time next year he's going to be number 1 on the main roster,
Right. So actually, with that said, with DBK bringing that in mind, I'm going to hand the baton over to you so that you can praise Ciampa Daddy. So what are you thinking about him here?
I mean, dude, what else needs to be said? You pretty much covered all the bases. Ciampa is the best heel in the world right now. He is the only guy that I can think of who is a great in-ring worker, a great mic worker. He's great at his job, and yet he gets so much heel heat from even the smarkiest of hardcore fans. Ciampa is a genius, and I have nothing else to add.
All right. With that said, we move on to our next section. Is it New Japan next or Lucha Underground next?
It's New Japan, brother. It's New.
Oh God, yes. All right, you go first, brother.
I've got my honorable mentions all ready to go. I'm actually going to say these backwards because I want to save the person that I have written first for last because I have something I want to add to it. So going backwards, Marty Scurll.
Okay.
Dragon Lee.
Okay.
Toru Yano.
Okay.
Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Okay.
Jay White.
Okay.
Hangman Page.
Uh-huh.
Sanada.
Nice.
And Hiromu Takahashi, we miss you.
Yes, Hiromu, we love you so much.
Please get healthy and come back soon.
I feel so bad for him. Don't you dare feel useless. You're a beautiful human being. You matter. Okay, I'll give my honorable mentions and then you can get to your number 5. Kota Ibushi, Marty Skrull, Hiromu Takahashi, love you, Roppongi 3K, Tetsuya Naito, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Hangman Page. So
Tanahashi made your honorable mention, huh?
Yeah, dude. Here's the thing. I joke around a lot about Tanahashi, but his in-ring work is, I mean, no pun intended, but it's fucking ace. Like, he's so good at what he does. And I rooted for him against Ibushi in the G1 Climax Finals. So happy that Tanahashi's going to Wrestle Kingdom. Should be a very interesting story. We're in the renaissance of Tanahashi right now. And I'm cool with it, honestly. So, yeah, just wanted to show him some love.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, I mean, that's pretty awesome. So I guess I should get to my number 5, right?
Yep.
All right. Give me 1 second. Okay. And my number 5 is probably going to be someone that's on your list and probably even higher on your list than number 5 because he wasn't an honorable mention. And I know you absolutely adore him. I hope he's not your number 1, though. My number 5 is Zack Sabre Jr.
Zack Sabre Jr. was 3 on my list.
Okay. Oh, what a relief. I'm so glad I didn't take your number 1 right off the bat. But yeah, man, ZSJ is incredible. When I think about the 5 Fave 5s, I really think about who, when their music hits, gets me the most excited because I know that I'm about to enjoy what I'm about to see. And ZSJ, even though I don't even recognize his music, but when I see his nameplate, I know I'm going to enjoy the match that I'm about to see because he is that good in the ring. Even if you want to say like, oh, all of his matches feel the same. If I find a movie that I absolutely adore and I watch it 100 times and don't get sick of it, then that just means that that's one of my favorite movies. So ZSJ is just one of my favorite wrestlers. He's just that damn good. I love ZSJ. He is an absolute wizard at submissions. I mean, they call Shayna Baszler the submission magician, but let's be real, ZSJ is the real submission magician with the way that he can turn one submission into multiple and just keeps grabbing at limbs and just tearing opponents apart, man.
Dude, absolutely. ZSJ to me, I mean, it's funny that you say like he's a wizard because they do legitimately call him the technical wizard. And yeah, the dude is just fantastic. I love him as a heel because the reason why he's my number 3, really, it does come down to how he carries himself as a heel, because when he was in PWG, like as a face, he was cool and all, and he did some interesting stuff, but like the way he did it and the way he went from like one move to the other, I don't know, it lacked personality to me, it lacked energy to me, but as a heel, you can tell how much he enjoys it. He enjoys bending the fingers back and getting a leg and wondering how far he can bend it or how many limbs can he take until even he's run out of ideas. You know, this dude's so freaking good. I love that he won the New Japan Cup this year. His match with Naito, where we finally got to see the Zack driver, which, by the way, he does a mean Michinoku driver, which, again, is now called the Zack driver. Like, I watched it back multiple times. He just drops Naito right on his head. That's a believable finish to me. And speaking of Taka Michinoku, I fucking love those two together. I'm sorry, not to diss Paul Heyman. I know he's a legend in his own right. To me, Heyman's kind of played out. Taka Michinoku and Zack Sabre Jr. is my new favorite wrestling pair that has that kind of relationship of like hype man wrestler.
Oh, like, okay. I was going to say, because Andrade Zelina, but yeah, that makes more sense.
Zelina's getting more in ring, and I adore those two, and they're my number 1 in that sense. But as far as being strictly a hype man, dude, it's Taka ZSJ all the way. They are so good together. I love it. I still remember the press conference when he won the New Japan Cup, and Zach's like, "This beer is warm," and Taka's just like, "Ah, shit." Like, I love it, dude. You talk about the WWE Network and all the crazy shows that they do. I would love a show where like Taka and Zach just live together for like a month or something and just do everything together. It's just, oh my God. But Zach, honestly, I'd love for him to be Intercontinental Champion. And if he makes New Japan his home, which I don't know if he will or not, you know, careers are very funny. You never know where a guy's going to go. I would love him versus Suzuki. Winner gets the faction, maybe even be kind of Suzuki's retirement match, you know, when he's fucking 74 years old. And Zach wins and we formally get Sabre Goon, because that would just be incredible to me. I love how the dude works. I love that he's a freaking bully. He's a great promo, too. That's another thing, too, that I don't think Zach gets talked about enough. And I don't really blame fans for that because I know it's kind of hard to, like, find promos in New Japan, especially, like, the backstage stuff. But they upload a lot of it to their YouTube channel. And, like, even before he had his match with Naito, he relished the opportunity to eliminate him. And he called Naito a dickhead. So, like, even his speaking, I think, there's, like, a charming quality to it. It's humorous to me, but in a respectful way, not in like, oh, look at this guy trying kind of way. Yeah, dude, he's just got great packaging. I can't wait to see what he does in G1 next year. Because really, for me, Zach's also starting to become one of those guys like an Ishii, where like any G1 match he has, I know I'm going to have a good time. Pretty much what you just said. Like you see him come out and you know you're in for something special. I'm the same way. And orienteering with Napalm Death, by the way, what a fucking great submission. So, yeah, that's all I want to say about Zach. Let's move on. Who is number 4 on your list? Actually, no, I have to give my number 5. That's right. My number 5. And I can't believe I'm saying this because I never even thought we'd get to a place where I would say this. Switchblade, knife pervert, Jay White is number 5 on my list.
Awesome, dude.
Dude, here's the crazy thing with Jay White, and this is why I love Fave 5, because, again, it's so unpredictable. You never know who's going to hang on to their spot. You never know who's going to get a spot, what have you. For the longest time, I was like, yeah, I love the character. I love the presentation, but, you know, in-ring and stuff, I just feel like there are some pieces kind of floating around and missing. So he's all right. There's definitely an upside, but he's all right. Ever since that U.S. title match with Juice where he lost the title and just his entire G1 performance, I'm like, oh, my God, we actually have a really amazing heel here.
Yep.
To the point where, you know what, dude? Like, I know. I'm just going to say right now, I want to make something clear here. I know this isn't going to happen, and whenever I fantasy book or you fantasy book, I mean, I'm not going to speak for you, I'm going to speak for me. It's not because I think they're going to listen. It's because it's a fun thing to do. It's a fun exercise to see what pieces you have available and what you'd like to see happen. I would love to see Jay White beat Tanahashi for his briefcase and take his Wrestle Kingdom main event. And then it would be Jay White versus Omega, which would be amazing because Jay White's whole journey, I mean, it technically began with Tanahashi, which would also be poetic because Tanahashi was the first guy he really pursued his Intercontinental title. But then who was the next guy? Omega, who he turned on when Omega offered him a Bullet Club shirt, and that's when he joined Chaos. I'd love that. The two guys that really were the catalyst to his journey all comes full circle to make him reach the climax of his the pinnacle was the word I was looking for of his journey. He's a fucking great heel. I remember his first 2 promos in the G1 when he beat Okada and Tanahashi back to back. The heat he was getting was legit. I love his moveset because, you know, he's got a solid moveset in there, but his cheating tactics are really what makes it, you know. And then the Blade Runner, I really like as a finish. I think it's a strong finish. So, yeah, I mean, on the whole, I think Jay White's got so much upside. And honestly, if we're starting to have serious conversations, I mean, and we're already seeing it with Omega and such, about Gaijin having a more prominent role in New Japan and being world champions and being big champions, no reason why Jay White can't be a future IWGP heavyweight champion. No reason at all to me with the kind of heel he gets. I think any babyface, whether it be an Ishii or a Naito or whatever, could tell some great stories chasing a complete and utter dick like Jay White. So, yeah, just had to give him some love. The dude's done a complete 180 with me, and I think he's going to maintain his positioning for a while if he keeps this work up.
That's perfect. I love it, man. All right, I guess moving on then. My number 4 is somebody that we really haven't seen as much of lately, but this also encompasses the BOSJ tournament and some other matches that we have seen. So my number 4 is actually Will Ospreay. And I was actually tempted to put him a little bit higher, but just because of the lack of exposure recently, I had to go a little bit lower and I went to 4. Ospreay is just like, he's basically like, take everything I said about Ricochet, copy and paste that over here for Ospreay in New Japan, except I think Ospreay is a better actor and a better talker than Ricochet.
Interesting. I don't even necessarily disagree with you. I just find that insight on the whole interesting. Yeah, man, I love it. Will's freaking great. So I guess to move right along, my number 4 is Juice Robinson.
Yes, I love that you have these guys on your list, dude. It's great.
Dude,
I did just kind of like, it just kind of clicked with me that we're talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling and knowing that ZSJ is your number 3, all 5 guys that we've talked about so far that have made our lists are white guys.
Yeah, dear God. But yeah, it really is amazing to me how much I've grown to love Juice, and I'm just gonna keep this succinct. He said in a press conference, I think, why I love him so much, because they even said, like, I don't know if it was about his character or his style, but we know the kind of style that dominates indie wrestling and other promotions that aren't WWE. And, you know, they asked Juice, what do you think about that style? He says, oh, I love it. But I've always been more of a character guy. Like, I loved Shawn Michaels, and I loved, you know, Bret Hart, and I loved, you know, these guys that, you know, were these, you know, white bread baby faces at times, even though, you know, Shawn Michaels also had a big heel run. But, you know, just those big, larger than life guys was Juice's point. You know, Randy Savage, another one. And Juice, I think, really continues that tradition. And I don't say that pejoratively. I say that rather respectfully. I like that this dude, his in-ring stuff is believable and it's dramatic, but it's not over the top. And you know what? It's a nice palate cleanser, because if you get beat in the head with the same thing, pretty soon your senses are going to be dulled. You're not going to appreciate it anymore. It's like if you had nothing but sugar, blueberries are probably going to taste like shit. But if you cut the sugar back, wow, blueberries may be the sweetest thing you've tasted in like forever. It's the same thing with Juice. Maybe there would have been a time where I would have hated just everybody having this colorful character. I can tell you, Hogan's era, I don't watch many matches from that era because they do bore me. I think Juice walks that fine line, which is why I love him so much, that his in-ring stuff is enough to keep me in, but it's the character that initially hooks me. And Jesus Christ, is this dude a fucking amazing babyface promo. I love this dude. I still think one of my favorite moments as a New Japan fan, and we've been watching this pretty religiously now for the last few years, was when he beat Kenny Omega, when Omega was U.S. champion in the G1, and the look on Juice's face. He even, like, tackled the ref. He's like, are you sure that was 3? Oh, my God. Holy fuck. Holy fuck. I beat Kenny Omega. And the way he puts guys over and the way he speaks about the business, this is a babyface you can't help but love. And honestly, even though I doubt it'll ever happen, Juice is IWGP Heavyweight Champion. That story has raced to be one of the best, because he always says it, like, I'm here to be on Naito's level. I'm here to be on Omega's level, Okada's level. To see that story, it could probably be one of the best things New Japan's ever done. So Juice is loose. I'm all aboard with it. Fucking Juice Robinson, long may he reign. He's number 4 on my list. Dude's fucking great.
Yeah, and I get the feeling my number 3 is going to end up being your number 2, and then my number 1 and your number 1 are probably going to be the same guy. So we already know that your number 3 is ZSJ, so I guess I'll just name my number 3, who I'm assuming is going to be your number 2, Minoru Suzuki.
Yeah, oh, dude. And yes, Suzuki is my number 2, and I'm so glad Catch Wrestling is here for this so that we can talk about it. But you go first, man. Why do you love Suzuki?
Abel, before we get into Suzuki, Abel asked where the love was for Yano. Yano was definitely in my honorable mentions, so it's not like we've completely neglected Yano. I do love Yano. He just didn't make the list this time around. But now that we're done talking about all the whiteys, we can actually talk about the Japanese wrestlers that we love. Minoru Suzuki being the first, my number 3, John's number 2. Suzuki is just incredible. He's another one of those guys like ZSJ, where when I know he's coming out to have a match, I know that I'm going to be entertained no matter what. He is absolutely brutal. He destroys people with no regard for human life, and that is exactly what makes me love him so much. Plus, to be fair, even though I don't understand what he's saying, using captions, I know that he is a damn good promo as well, because the shit that he does and says on the mic in his backstage interviews is amazing. I love that he even goes as far as to physically threaten the cameraman. It makes me so happy inside.
Oh, dude, I love that it makes you happy inside. Heel Ashton is so beautiful. But yeah, man, Suzuki, like, I just gotta call it like it is. This dude is 50 years old, and he's competing at a level that we expect from guys in their early to mid 30s. Like, I love that he's still competing at such a high level. Dude, just to put this in perspective for everybody, just in case, like, they really haven't appreciated this feat, dude's fucking 50. He did an entire G1 climax. Like, and I feel like most of his matches were good, if not all of them, at least enjoyable on some level. I adore him. I adore the catch wrestling tradition. I mean, I'm not as well versed in it as catch wrestling, you, for God's sakes, it's in the name. But I have a deep respect for technical and scientific wrestling, and to know Suzuki's lineage, you know, who he was trained by, and, you know, the stable he's put together, and him and Zack Sabre Jr. are tag champions, like, that keeps the tradition strong. Dude, even though he lost the match, I really should, even when we get done here, I need to go back and watch the match he had with Tanahashi, where just for several minutes, he's contorting him like a pretzel and dominating the leg and picking him apart. This dude is so good. You want to talk about believable offense. Suzuki has one of the most believable repertoires in the fucking game right now, simply because of his background. And what's even crazier and why he's number 2, the dude's fucking 50. Now, keep in mind, again, any other part of the world, if I saw 50-year-old, I'd be like, get out of the ring, old man, you know, kind of thing. With Suzuki, he's still competing at such a level. I want him to be IWGP Heavyweight Champion because that's the one title he's never held. And I know for a damn fact there have been people in our chat right now that have said give Suzuki a damn title run. So, like, if that doesn't tell you how fucking great this man is, I don't know what to tell you. And that Gotch-style pile driver, one of my favorite finishers going right now. So, long live Suzuki, the most miserable man in the world, the fucking legend. And I can't wait for G129, where he'll steal the show again and maybe for fucking once win a goddamn block. Suzuki-gun Ichiban.
And I also want to throw out there, by the way, that to me, Suzuki was one of, like, really, because the thing is, like, we watched every single match in the G1, and the B block, like, you were getting 2, maybe 3 exceptional matches, and then the other matches would still be good. A block, though, like, you were lucky to get 2 or 3 good matches, and the other ones were all kind of snooze fests by comparison. But Suzuki's matches were the ones that I consistently looked forward to the most. Like, Suzuki and Hangman Page were the 2 guys in the A block whose matches I tended to look most forward to in, like, during the G1. And Suzuki, I feel like, put on the best matches in the G1 as far as the A block goes. Obviously, you know, he wasn't on the same level as who our number 1 is going to end up being in the G1 this year. Still great. And listen to you. and it was just, Suzuki's just awesome. He's just the man. So I'm gonna fill in Suzuki for your number 2, and then we're gonna move on to my number 2, who is Tetsuya Naito.
Yes, all you, brother.
Well, I've just, you know, Naito, he's kind of a really interesting story with me personally, because yeah, like he has an amazing and interesting story within the confines of New Japan. But the first New Japan show you and I ever watched was Wrestle Kingdom 9. And coming out of that show, my sentiment on Naito was, oh, so he's like a Japanese Kofi Kingston. Like, he's like this sort of generic, maybe upper mid-card baby face, probably never going to get to the world title, probably shouldn't ever get to the world title. Maybe he has a connection with the kids in the crowd and stuff, but he doesn't really do anything for me. And then he went to CMLL and he joined Los Ingobernables. And that was the best thing that's ever happened to him in any context whatsoever, because he got an attitude, he got a personality. And then the G1 25, I believe, was really the eye-opener for me. And that was like, holy shit, like, he came out with this new swagger. He came out with, like, wearing this suit with this, like, Dr. Doom mask, and then he took like 5 minutes just to disrobe out of his entrance gear to get into his wrestling attire, and his opponent was so pissed off the whole time. And then really the Tanahashi match that he had that year, where he just targeted the neck and he did the neck breaker onto the table and then onto the apron, and he debuted the Destino. It was just like my come to Jesus moment when it comes to Naito. And ever since then, he's been acting less and less like the Naito that I fell in love with, and more like the Naito that I saw as this Kofi Kingston type character. But the difference is, I've already gotten so ingrained in loving him and knowing what he's going to do in the ring and enjoying his in-ring work that I actually don't even care that much that he is kind of reverting back to his sort of babyface generic upper mid-card tendencies. I'm just so behind him, and I want him to succeed so much that he's gone from like New Japan's Kofi Kingston to almost more of like New Japan's Daniel Bryan, because I think a lot of us fell in love with Daniel Bryan when he was the heel, when he was, my 95-pound girlfriend, AJ Lee, and get your damn hand off my shoulder and shit like that, Daniel Bryan. And that's kind of how I am with Naito. Like, sure, he might be a little bit more of like a generic babyface at this point, but he's great in the ring. And I've gotten so accustomed to just rooting for him that I just am still waiting for the day to come that he is able to win the title in a fashion that gets him fully embraced by the New Japan crowd, because he has held the IWGP World title within the last few years, but he only held it for like 71 days. And he won it as a heel, and his whole gimmick while he held the title was throwing the title around to get heel heat. So I want Naito in his current character to win the IWGP title to a massive roaring applause from the crowd. And I don't know if we're going to get that. And I say if and not when, because I genuinely don't know if we're going to get it.
I mean, dude, you said everything perfectly. I objectively, in accordance with our list, because Naito was only an honorable mention for me, so you're objectively a bigger Naito fan than me, and yet I have said, I'm right there with you, that I still feel like the biggest mistake New Japan made was not having Naito go over at Wrestle Kingdom 12. I think they missed a huge opportunity there. To me, everything you're seeing with Omega should be Naito's story as the defending champion, and it just really is disheartening that New Japan missed the boat, because you don't know if it's going to come back around again, and That's really a shame, because Naito is so freaking talented, and LIJ has so much fanfare. Literally, I know a wrestling fan friend of mine that's like dedicated to LIJ and does nothing but post LIJ content. Like, wow. They adore the faction that fucking much. And Naito, you hear him speak about the faction, about the people in it. The dude has a likability to him. Like, even as more of a face, if he's given up more of those like violent tendencies, he still has a connection with the crowd and with this brotherhood of Los Ingobernables that I don't know why you haven't given him the ball, why you haven't really built the company going forward around him, at least for a little bit. The idea that his only reign was like 70, 71 days is a fucking joke, especially because that's a title normally, and I've always credited New Japan for this. They treat their world champion seriously. Like, if they have that world title, it's going to take a lot to pry it off of them more often than not. To know that Naito was the exception rather than continuing the rule, to me, is a slap in the fucking face. But that's all I'm going to say about it, because you already said everything perfectly. And I guess that leaves us with, are we going to share another number 1 3 in a row?
Yeah, I'm like 99.9% sure we are about to.
All right. Again, 3, 2, 1. Tomohiro
Ishii, baby.
Oh, my God. I guess because you had Naito, I'll go first. And I'm going to start this out maybe a bit aggressively. Fuck Kenny Omega.
Yeah, we got the real 5-star match bout machine right here.
Yes, and dude, this is coming at a perfect time, and maybe this is me being too optimistic, but in the aftermath of G1 Climax 29, people are finally starting to see just how great Ishii is.
It's like people are finally starting to see what we've been saying for years.
Yeah, like,
and I think it all started with the G1 special in California last year in his match with Omega. So of course it takes an Omega match to get people to finally start noticing. And then this year the G1 really turned it into high gear.
I hate that. It's like, oh wow, this Ishii kid's pretty good. Yeah, no fucking shit. But yeah, this dude, again, this is the beauty of wrestling, because you see somebody so good and you talk about suspension of disbelief. You don't just do it in the sense of like, oh God, are they really hurt? Or, oh God, are they going to be okay? But because this is like a new age of wrestling and we consume it differently than we ever have, my suspension of disbelief goes, oh yeah, Ishii can totally be an Intercontinental Champion. He could totally be IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Will he ever attain those heights? Probably not. Am I going to root for him until the day he leaves the boots in the ring to do so? You're goddamn fucking A right I am. Jesus Christ, this dude is insane. How can one dude be great at both the strong style with the throwing the strikes, be technically savvy to do the best fucking sharpshooter I've ever seen, suck it, Natalia, Do
And
like
you're ready to suck it, Brett.
Yeah, you fucking bitter old ass.
Geriatric son of a bitch.
A fucking Poison Rana, which it may not be the best thing, but he fucking committed to it and it looked good enough. Like, this dude is crazy. And even his promo, from what I hear, he's a guy that sometimes will doubt himself, but then he gets that big win. Like, he was even talking about Omega. Yeah, Omega had things going real well for him, didn't he? But I was the wall, and I always will be the wall. That was pretty much Ishii saying, hey, that's a nice undefeated streak you got there. It would be a shame if something happened to it. And Omega's like, oh, I'm just going to slap his head. I love that Ishii is so intense. I love that everything he does in that ring, you talk about excellence of execution, because we said fuck Brett. Ishii, to me, is like excellence in execution. Everything he does looks so good. And I love that his finisher is a freaking brain buster, but he has other stuff he can beat you with too, like when he fucking tombstoned Okada that one year in the G1. And it's like, holy shit. I mean, this dude can do anything. Another man I want as fucking IWGP Heavyweight Champion. And by the way, while we're doling out fuck yous, perhaps the biggest fuck you of all before I hand it over to Ashton to give a much calmer and level-headed sermon than myself here. Fuck you, New Japan Pro Wrestling, for giving fucking Omega and Ishii a fucking destruction show. Are you kidding me? Like, I already knew it wasn't going to get King of Pro Wrestling because that's obviously going to go to Kota Ibushi. But holy fuck, man. Get your priorities straight. I don't know if the momentum's already died, if people are already forgetting that Ishii exists. Because, oh, well, you know, he had great matches, but let's all move on with our day. But I really hope if this momentum continues, he has a better 2019 with, at the very least, an Intercontinental title run. Because I'm so sick of him just doing stuff in the never openweight division when he deserves, in my mind, a lot better. So with that said, Ashton, what would you like to say about our Stone Pitbull?
Oh, you're going to get bit if you mess with this guy. He's so good. Dude, he had every best match in G1 this year. And the thing is, I'm not even exaggerating. If you just go by cage match rating, he had like the 4 best matches in the entire G1 climax this year. And like 7 of the top 10. He is just amazing. He is the best bout machine that people try and act like Omega is. Now, don't get me wrong. I like Kenny Omega. I think Kenny Omega is a good wrestler. But I also think Kenny Omega is massively overrated by people because of Dave Meltzer. And really, no one overrates Omega more than Meltzer himself. But I do still think Omega's good. But he's no Ishii. Are you kidding me? Ishii is just everything. He does I think what I love most about Ishii is when you put him up against a Titan in New Japan, an Omega, a Naito, a Tanahashi, and Okada, that's when he pulls out his best performances. That is when he turns it up to 11. And that is when we get our match of the year candidates. Ishii and against, I can't even tell you how much I've been waiting. And I know you have too. So I know I'm speaking for both of us here. I love that we still are waiting to get Suzuki Ishii. Our top 2 guys kind of as a unit, because obviously I'm more of a fan of Naito than you, but if you just go by like consensus rankings, Ishii and Suzuki are the top 2 guys between the 2 of us collectively. And they still have not had a singles match against each other in New Japan. It's mind-blowing.
The universe won't survive.
I know. I really genuinely hope that one of them wins a title and they end up going against each other for that title at Wrestle Kingdom 13, 14. I don't even know what number we're on. But yeah, man, it's so good. Ishii's incredible. He's and that's another thing that I love about him is that he's so versatile. He has his game plan that he goes into every match with. I'm going to punch you harder than you punch me, and I'm going to do it enough times that you're down for the 3 count. But he is able to change his game plans on the fly, because if somebody starts, like with ZSJ, if someone goes over the top trying to beat him with submissions, he says, fuck you, I'll give you a submission to see if you can kick out of this. And if someone does like Lucha Libre shit on him, he says, fuck you, I'm going to give you a Hurricane Rana or a Poison Rana or whatever the hell. Like, he's so versatile and he's able to adapt his opponent's style and a lot of the time do it better than them. I love him, man. He's just the best. He's just the best thing, man. I just love Ishii.
He's such a good Stone Pitbull. Such a good Stone Pitbull. But anyway, I know, right? Oh my god. But let's move on because now we're on to Lucha Underground, right?
Yeah, this was definitely the hardest. Or actually, you know what? This is the second. We're kind of going in order of difficulty, but not really because like NXT and New Japan were easier for WWE than me. But these last two, Lucha Underground was really tough, and then the other section was the toughest one for me. So like Lucha Underground was like the second toughest for me to come up with. So I did go first for our New Japan lists, so I'm going to let you go first for your honorable mentions here for Lucha Underground.
All right, honorable mentions. This is quite a lengthy one. I really took advantage of it. The Mac, Taya, Son of Havoc, Aerostar, Mil Muertes, El Dragon Azteca, Cobra Moon, Daga, Exolicious.
Nice. Okay, so just going to let you know, you have two people that are on my actual list in your honorable mentions. And I mean, you already know who one of them is, but the other one,
yes.
I'm going to let you kind of toil on. Honorable mentions, though, Worldwide Underground, the entire faction are in my honorable mentions, except for Ricky Mundo because he doesn't fucking deserve it.
Yes, finally. You already know what I would say in response to that, so yeah, we can move on.
Desmond X, Sammy Guevara, Dante Fox whenever he gets back, Aerostar, King Cuerno, and Matanza.
Oh, you know, I gotta be honest, oh god, I really deserve to be punished for this. I forgot about King Cuerno, so you could tack him onto my honorable mentions.
Okay.
Because I'm not even gonna try and fake it, but on to my number 5, and it's funny, Ashton, because my number 5 was in your honorable mentions, Desmond X.
I knew that. I knew he would make your list.
Just insane. Really insane. And I love his look. He walks in there ready to own the ring, and he's got the little mini afro going on. I love it. I love it. It's so great. I don't know what his character is going to be in the temple, but I'm really intrigued what it's going to be because really Lucha could go any route. I don't know. Like they've done social issues before, you know, with military and with women. I don't know if they'd want to do something like that with Desmond X. And I only say that, right, because he's got the X. I don't know if they'd want to go into like any kind of racial commentary because that's such a big issue in the world today with him, or if they just want to make him like a fun baby face or what they want to do with him. But I'm here for it, man. I'm here for it. I think he's freaking great in ring. I enjoy his matches, and he's had very few so far. But honestly, I know we're going to see Dante for a brief period in season 4. That's why I didn't even put him in honorable mentions. Like, it's just like we haven't seen him. And I don't want to open up my heart again because it just hurts because you know how much I adored Dante Fox, and that has not changed. But if I have to start adjusting to not seeing Dante as often, because I don't even know if he would be brought back for a season 5 or like the little bit that he's done with season 4, that's just it. He's done with Lucha.
I mean, from what I've heard, he will be in season 4. He just missed the first weekend of tapings.
Oh, well then, next 5 Fave 5s, I'll be happy to welcome Dante to the table. But really what I was going to say was Desmond, to me, was going to be kind of that guy, my rebound, more or less. You know, because I adore Dante, but Desmond, you know, like he has a similar swagger, like in a way to me, and how he carries himself in the ring. And I just can't wait to see what he does next. So, yeah, X marks the spot. He makes it in my number 5 spot. So who's number 4 for you, right?
No, I haven't given my 5 yet.
Oh, you haven't given your 5 yet. Yeah, I always do that every time. But yeah, who's your number 5?
My number 5 was one of your honorable mentions. Do you want to try and take a poke at who it is?
Let me see. You know what? I'm going to say the Mac.
No, sir. I do like the Mac, though. But I really kind of like, when I do my Fave 5s, I don't really focus on guys that I just kind of like. I really want to focus on the people that I like more than the consensus, like more than most people.
All right, fair enough. Who's your number 5, man?
El Dragon Azteca Jr.
Oh, awesome. All right, take it away, man. I'm curious to hear this.
I just really am enjoying the arc that he's on this season. I'm a little bit kind of weary about the whole thing with Melissa. Hopefully that was just like a one-off and he doesn't become like a permanent part of the Melissa Katrina Mills story. But I love his arc. I love that he actually ended up becoming Gift of the Gods champion, and I love that he's a fighting Gift of the Gods champion. I love his goal. I love his season arc of he wants the Ultima Lucha Cuatro championship match, and he's willing to defend the title as often as he needs to in order to be able to hold it until then. I just am really enjoying the character arc. And as far as the actual performer goes, this kind of bleeds into the other section as well. Because he's in PWG as Ray Horace, he's just an absolute phenom in that ring, man. He is an incredible luchador.
I mean, dude, you said everything there is to say. I feel like for El Dragon Azteca, why he made an honorable mention for me, and I'm hoping that they can course correct for this. I feel like his character really got interesting for me when he was like kind of bucking against Ray's teachings, and now I really don't know where the character is. He just seems like a good guy, which is fine. But yeah, like you said, man, in the ring, he is undeniable. He is so good in there. And I love that he made your number 5 because I could only really see him getting better with him having a more prominent spot on the show, because then he really will have to have a more fleshed out character and stuff, which I'm very excited to see how that'll go. So very cool that he cracked your top 5. And I guess moving on to my number 4, Kill Shot. Fuck
yeah, dude. Kill Shot was one of the layups for me. I literally, when I was putting together my list, I had 2 layups. You already know one of them. Kill Shot was my number 2 on this list. Kill Shot is that high for me. He made my number 2 on Lucha Underground list.
Dude, that's fucking amazing. In fact, knowing he was that high, I'm dying to hear what you have to say, so I'm going to be very quick here. I've embraced that he's a heel now. And like, I loved him as a babyface. I thought he had such an emotional story as a babyface. But if he's a heel now, this is the territory we're in. I've accepted it. Dude's fucking undeniable in ring. Jesus Christ. And if you don't put the Lucha Underground title on him by season 5, I honestly don't know what to tell you. Like, really, like, I know I have the people that I fight for, like Cage and Son of Havoc, but I think Killshot might have leapfrogged at the very least Son of Havoc. This dude is so fucking good. How you cannot build a brand around him, especially now that he's a heel that everybody would be chasing. To me, I think it's criminal if you don't do that. So, yeah, I adore this dude, but knowing that he's made such an impression with you that he's number 2 on your list, I gotta hear you preach, brother. So, all you right now.
Dude, to me, first of all, I really did come into season 4 hoping that either Killshot or Dante would kind of be our new Prince Puma, because that Hell of War match at the end of season 3 was the kind of match that you can create, like, that can make a character for you. That can make someone. That can really make somebody into a top babyface star. And now we come into season 4, and for me, I like the 2 most devastating losses. Really, not even 2. The 3 most devastating losses that we've had in season 4 have been Dante Fox, who's hopefully only temporary and he'll be back, Vibora, and Prince Puma. You already know about Prince Puma. Everyone knew he was gone. But as far as just season 4 goes, the fact that we haven't had Dante Fox at all, and we only had the 1 singles match with Vibora before he got killed off, pisses me off beyond belief, because those were the 2 guys, aside from Puma, who we knew wasn't going to be in season 4, those were the 2 guys that I was really most excited about coming into season 4. And now one of them's killed off, and we might not see him again at all, or at the very least, we won't see him until season 5. And the other one might not show up until Ultima Lucha Cuatro, for all we know. I don't know if he's going to show up at all during the season, or if he's going to be on the last show, or however that's going to work. I just don't know. We don't know. Nobody knows, because he's in universe, he's missing in action. He's, AWOL. He's absence without a lease. So the fact that Killshot is kind of the only remaining kind of remnant from that whole situation, and the fact that he has been absolutely killing it as a character this season, I was tempted to put him at number 1, but the Haunted House match on Wednesday kind of put my number 1 over the top and made me kind of seal him in. You all already know who it is anyway, so I might as well just kind of not even beat around the bush as much. But yeah, man, Killshot is just that dude. Killshot is I would argue, in my opinion, Killshot is the most compelling character in all of Lucha Underground in season 4 so far. He is this badass dude who went to war with a guy that he considered to be a brother at one point, and then they became rivals. He came out on top. He then reunited as friends with the guy that he just put through hell, and became champions with the guy that he had passed with in the MAC. So, like, Killshot is in this great trio with his brother and a guy, and I say his brother in the sense that, like, Dante Fox, they were like brothers in arms, and his other good friend that we already knew they had a past connection in the MAC, because they debuted on this same team. They were both, they know each other through Big Rick. And Then season 4 comes along. Dante bails. Dante's gone. Dante's not around right now. And Antonio Cueto, who is like this really, like, I don't want to say heelish, but he is this really devious character in Lucha Underground now, just slaps that third trios title on whoever this random guy was that showed up at the number 3 spot in Aztec Warfare. And it just happened to be Son of Havoc. So it worked out pretty well from like an on paper perspective, because Son of Havoc's a great trios wrestler. He is a former trios champion, but Killshot felt like he didn't earn this spot and he wanted him to pay some dues. So Killshot's thinking this dude just walked in here and got handed a title. He's not a trios champion as far as I'm concerned. He's just the guy latching on to our success. And then the Mac, who is maybe a little more of like an open and accepting kind of progressive guy, he's more focused on trying to kind of generate that team chemistry and kind of get Son of Havoc kind of worked into the team. So he does Son of Havoc a favor by pinning Killshot and getting Killshot, not allowing Killshot to have a shot at the Gift of the Gods title, so that Son of Havoc can kind of feel a little more welcome in the team. All that does, though, is piss Killshot off even more, because Killshot, when he sees Son of Havoc, all he sees is not Dante Fox. He doesn't see Son of Havoc as like this good guy that can help them win. He sees Son of Havoc as, you're not Dante. You're not my brother. You're not the guy that I went to war with and who earned these titles with us last season. That's not you. You didn't earn this. So now the fact that the Mac really is like trying to work with these guys to try and make them more of a team, to try and have more success with them as the trios champions, it's not working for Killshot. So Killshot is pissed off. They go into the trios match with the Reptile Tribe. Son of Havoc does a tope suicida, doesn't hit his target, ends up hitting Killshot. That's the straw that broke the camel's back. Killshot's fucking done. He's pissed off. He throws Son of Havoc off the top rope. And then when Son of Havoc gets pinned, Killshot's like, well, shit, man. I was pissed enough to throw you off the top rope, but I didn't think that you were enough of a pussy to actually get pinned from whatever just happened. And Killshot cuts the promo of the season after that match. And you know what? I'm calling a fucking audible. I don't care. Killshot's my number 1 in Lucha Underground. I'm making an executive decision right now. No,
Whoa.
I love Mill. I love Mill, and you already know that he was going to be my number 1. But
Whoa.
Mill has done so much this season, and it's not as much as Killshot. Killshot's my number 1 in Lucha Underground right now. I'm making the call. I'm moving him up. Killshot's number 1 for me, dude. I just talked myself into it. He's done everything. He's incredible. He's the man. And DBK said what I was thinking. Killshot's the new ace of Lucha Underground, as far as I'm concerned.
I fucking love this series so much. I can't say anything to that. That was perfect. I'm just gonna move on. Thanks for giving me shit, because I can't top that. But yeah,
sorry, but like,
no, dude, I love it though.
About this than I realized. Like,
dude, I love it though. I love it so fucking much though, because you want to talk about dropping bombs. Like, I was even getting a bit, like, not tedious, but like, wow, we had number 1 for NXT, for New Japan, for WWE. To know that you do that bait and switch, like, yeah, Mill, you're good. Not as good as Killshot's been, though. I love it.
Yeah, dude, that's the thing, is like, those were like my 2 layups. Because when I was making this list, I had a lot of trouble coming up with who I wanted to have on the list, because there just aren't that many guys left in Lucha Underground that I like more than everyone else. Like, if you would have asked me coming into season 4 who my fave 5 were in Lucha Underground, Dante would have been number 1. Killshot probably would have been up there. Mill would have been up there. Vibora would have been up there. And then PJ probably would have rounded that out. PJ hasn't done jack shit. Dante's gone. Vibora's dead. So the only 2 layups I had were Killshot and Mill. And I just kind of default put Mill at 1 because it's just where he's been the entire time we've been doing these. But no, man, Killshot's doing more for me right now than Mill. And I do, like, even though I'm frustrated that the Lucha Underground writers are trying to make Killshot the heel in this situation, I still have to give them props for making him a relatable character. Like, it's easy to understand what's pissing him off and what he's angry about and why he's doing what he's doing. So even though I'm annoyed at what they're doing with him, his motivations are perfect, and the way that he's been written makes all the sense in the world.
I think this is one of my favorite bits you've ever done. Like, that was amazing. Hypothesis even said good luck to me for following that up. So shit. It's back on me. What do I do here? Hello, my baby. Hello, my no. I'm just kidding. I was totally ready.
And dude, it's actually really funny because on my last Lucha Underground Fave 5, because our last Lucha Underground Fave 5 was January 1st of this year, and that was right after the end of season 3. And I can even tell you that my Fave 5 on that was Mill at number 1, Killshot 2, Dante 3, PJ 4, Marty 5. So, and I had Vibora in my honorable mentions. So, yeah, man, Killshot has just done more this season than Mill, and I love Mill, but I just I gotta make the executive call. I gotta call the audible and move Killshot up to number 1. So yeah, Killshot's my number 1 this year, or this month.
Dude, I thought like I don't even want to talk. I just want to keep smiling with how happy you made me. That was beautiful. Number 2, Marty the Moth. I don't know if he's still in chat.
Wait, did you say number 2? Because we're only on number 4, brother.
Holy shit, I jumped the gun.
You gave your number 4. We're on number 3.
I got so caught up because with all the numbers, I apologize.
No, we're both thrown off because you were going first. So you gave your number 5, then I gave my number 5, then you gave your number 4. I haven't even given my number 4 yet.
Wow. Okay, so wait. Who's doing what now? Who goes next? Is it me?
I'm going to give my number 4 now. My number 4 is actually Paul London.
Oh, okay. Good luck following yourself after that.
I know. No, I'm just going to kind of keep it brief here because, again, I'm not trying to outdo what I just did. Paul London is one of the most entertaining acts in Lucha Underground this season. I've really enjoyed his acting and his kind of over-the-top facial expressions. I like his new, more vicious style in the ring. And I love that his character is such a sleazeball that he's sacrificing his own partners to Matanza. It makes me happy. Like you were just saying earlier about me, he puts a smile on my face. So Paul London's my number 4. Who's your number 3?
Okay. Who's better than Cage? Well,
oh shit, dude! That's my number 3 too.
Yeah, I was gonna make the joke. Who's better than Cage? Well, 2 people, but he still gets this spot. So
yeah, dude, Cage is my number 3 as well. We both have him there.
You know, Ashton, there's really nothing new that I can say here. I've just really given up beating you on this section. I'm just waiting for others so that maybe I can have my own passionate rant here. But, you know, I've said before in all seriousness, like, I think he has one of the best stories. Really, I'd say in wrestling, because, again, I say, and I'm standing by it, you look at this dude, and, like, you just look at him, and if you even have, like, a very stereotypical conception of pro wrestling, I could take somebody and be like, you know what pro wrestling is? I don't watch it, but yeah. How many times do you think that man's been world champion? Oh, a guy like that. 7 times? 0.
Never.
0 fucking times the world champion. And I love it. Dude, I still remember when he first came into the company that you and I were both like, oh yeah, he's going to be Brock Lesnar. He's going to beat Prince Puma the first chance he gets. And now all this time later, that was back in season 1. We're now in season 4. Still hasn't won a goddamn world title. The most he's won, and here's the poetic thing, the most he's won was Gift of the Gods, which is meant to get you to the world title. And he still hasn't won the world title. I love it. I love the shit. Like, whether this guy's meant to be a heel, which with Lucha Underground, him attacking Pentagon from behind and stuff like that, I think they meant for him to get more booed. And I'm not making a direct parallel, so I don't want Cliff or anybody to get mad at me. But I relate with fucking Cage the same way I think a lot of people are like relating to Becky Lynch. Like, the dude's great. He's got all the tools. He's put in the work. He's been consistent over 4 fucking seasons, and he still hasn't gotten the nod. That's why I think, you know, to be fair, and maybe I owe an apology to Lucha Underground and to our fans. Maybe I was a bit too clouded by my bias in our review last night, because I was just groaning and rolling my eyes at the finish of Pentagon just really picking Cage apart. But I wonder if that's not just entirely the idea that I think Pentagon's OP, and it kind of makes me groan, but that I just love Cage so much, and that I want to see him get his moment. I thought he was going to get his moment again with the gauntlet. Then he ends up losing the gauntlet. It's like, he's almost tragic too in a way, because it's almost like, I can't believe I'm about to quote this. I can't believe that never count out TWitWoW, right? The rock biter from Neverending Story. They look like big, strong hands. And like, he's just lamenting how like he's so strong, but he couldn't protect his friends. And it's like Cage is so strong and he's so capable, but he can't hold on to a goddamn thing.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie to you. Never Ending Story is fucking nightmare fuel.
Right though. But like, couldn't hold on to give like he cashed it in unsuccessfully. Couldn't hold on to Gauntlet of the Gods. This man in any other promotion would be the fucking poster child. Here he's the red-headed stepchild.
Yeah.
And like, I love it. This dude, I am going to root for this man to be Lucha Underground champion until the day he's either done with the promotion or he fucking does it, whichever one comes first. And like I said, now that Mundo's already gotten his title run, I can look towards everybody else getting their title run, and Cage is like at the top of my list. Dude's so fucking great. But you said he was also your number 3, so give me your thoughts on him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not nearly as passionate about Cage as I am Killshot, obviously.
Right.
Yeah, man, I'm kind of on the same lines as you. He's great at pretty much everything. He looks like $1,000,000. Yeah, man, he's just kind of, I mean, you even said he's kind of a tragic character in the sense that, like, he's this big, amazing talent, like this freaky, athletic guy. He can do everything. He can talk. He's got some charisma. He's huge. He's athletic. Like, there's nothing he can't do except win the big one, it seems.
Exactly. God damn.
And that's the real tragedy. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah,
dude.
So what did you just like?
I just really like it. Just really blows my mind that he really is everything that we say that he is. It's just it's crazy. But I guess continuing right along. Do I give my number 2 now?
You know what? Yeah, you do. You sure do.
I do. Okay. Well, I already kind of jumped the gun. But I'll say it again. I don't know if he's still in the chat or if he's just kind of listening while doing other stuff. But my number 2 is Marty the Moth Martinez. Freaking love Marty, and I'm loving that he's seemingly like getting this campaign for the Lucha Underground title. I hope he wins it. I would love, dude. I personally. If you want season 4, at least for me to go out on the highest note possible without using Johnny Mundo to do it, Pentagon Dark versus Marty the Moth, Cerro Miedo match for the title with Marty the Moth going over. Like, that to me is what they should do. And again, I'm only speaking for me because I can only ever speak for one man. But that to me is the story they should go with. I knew that like my love of Marty was like a pretty sturdy, like stable thing. In Aztec Warfare, when Mundo was like already eliminated, like earlier in the match, and it came down to Marty and Pentagon, and I was just rooting my heart out for Marty to win, not even really thinking about the fact like, oh, well, Mundo has already been eliminated. Like, that's just how great Marty is. And when he lost and got his arm broken, that was the beginning of a long line of disappointment, courtesy of Pentagon bitch. So that's kind of where I am right now with the title reign. But yeah, I've already said before in past Fave Fives, I love this dude's commitment to the character. I've told the story multiple times, how I asked him about his influences, and he actually named back to me serial killers. That is just the most charming, disturbing fucking thing all at once. I don't even know. Like, I don't even know how it is a thing. I'm just kind of looking at it and like, what do I do with this but besides have overwhelming feelings and anxiety? But yeah, he's freaking amazing. I want the Moth Tribe to be taken more seriously, and that includes Mariposa as well, who I'm just so down on what they've done with her. Didn't even make an honorable mention. It's not her fault. It's just like you see that it's never going to be anything. But I still have hope for Marty. I still hope he can be a world champion, and that'll probably be the closest you can get to a Mundo markout, would be for a guy like Marty, because he's worked so hard. He's put in his time. I think he'd make an amazing world champion, especially as a heel, because he's a totally different kind of monster from a Mil Muertes or a Matanza. Because for him, he's a monstrosity, not because of the physical, but because of the mental. And that, to me, is just a fascinating terrain to play with, because when he becomes Lucha Underground champion, with how spoiled he is, what lengths do you think he'll go to keep it? And I think just that question alone could be the inspiration for some of the best nightmarish cinematics that we've gotten. And given what Ricky and Rosa are doing, that's saying something. So yeah, Marty's my number 2. Really hope he wins the Lucha Underground Championship at Ultima Lucha Quattro this year.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I do love that your number 2 was Marty. You already kind of know already, though, that my number 2 ended up being Mil Muertes. So Mill being number 2 on my list was not even something that was going to happen until I just went on my long kill shot diatribe and kind of put him over in my own mind to the point that I moved him up to number 1 on the fly. But Mill is still amazing. Mill is still, I mean, you know, storyline agnostic. Mill is my favorite performer in the Temple. I think the reason kill shots surpassed him is because even though I do enjoy Mill as an overall performer a little bit more than Killshot. Killshot just has more of a narrative thread that's kind of got me hooked right now than Mill. Mill feels kind of directionless at the moment, so I'm really hoping that Mill gets more to do over the next month, or I guess over the next 3 or 4 months, because that's about how much longer. I think 3 months actually is how much time we have left in season 4. It's crazy that it's coming to an end already after we waited so long for it and we just got more episodes. But yeah, man, Mill's my number 2. He's amazing at everything he does. His pairing with Katrina is definitely more interesting this season, with her being fully human and all that stuff. And the Haunted House match is going to end up going down as my favorite match of Lucha Underground season 4 for now, until something else comes in and surpasses it. So there you go.
I'm hoping Killshot's the one that surpasses it, just to put a whole bow on this thing.
Yeah, that would be so good.
Yeah, dude. Guys, you already know who my number 1 is. Johnny fucking Mundo. Always gonna be my number 1 in everything. Because here's the thing, guys. What haven't I said about Johnny? But I'll reiterate one of the most important things. If it wasn't for Johnny, I don't even know if I would be here. Because he came at a time when I was really close to being done with wrestling because I was so heartbroken over the Benoit tragedy. So because Johnny was so good back then, I've been able to appreciate all the brilliant talent that we have now that makes a series like this possible. And even though his banner year was the year that, you know, he won the Lucha Underground Championship, he was even my superstar of the year that year, and he's kind of cooled down this year, he's still, I think, one of the fucking best in the game today. He's got a likability to him, even when he is just a dirtbag heel, which he's kind of like a tweener now, but he's more on the good side, it seems, you know, helping Aerostar out. His moveset is great. Like, I'm always sucked into his matches, and he's just, for me, got that it factor where, like, is he more spectacular than, say, an Ospreay? Not necessarily, but he just has that quality where I root for him every time. I'm sucked into everything that he does. Like, I get hyper-focused during his matches. I don't want to miss a fucking thing that he does. And this year, I love the stories this has been a part of. You know, the Reptile Tribe was definitely a highlight for me. And him potentially going up against Ricky, you know, and maybe even in a very violent match at Ultima Lucha Quattro, you know, that's what I wanted for him, was to work with these guys that could really make themselves. And I'm not even trying to be snooty or arrogant. I think a guy like Ricky as a heel getting to climb in there with Mundo, who, even if we want to keep it to the Lucha Underground lore, is the 2nd ever Triple Crown champion, you know, that's going to do a lot for him. And I wanted Johnny to help make people, because Lucha Underground needs as many stars, especially with how many kind of left this season, as they can get. And to know that they kind of trust him in that spot where, you know, him and Ricky are on a collision course, to me, it's inevitable. Really says a lot about the value they put on him. And it's definitely worth it. You know, guys, I keep hearing Johnny say, because I think he is a professional first and foremost, you know, never say never to WWE. I may go back one day. You guys already know I want him to retire in Lucha Underground. If he chooses to go back to WWE, I look forward to talking to you guys about matches with Seth Rollins, AJ Styles, whatever brand he ends up on. But I really want him to stay here and be that veteran that kind of builds the next generation. To me, he's on top of his game still. I really hasn't waned for me at all. There hasn't been any performer where I'm like, oh, they could unseat Johnny Mundo. In the Lucha Underground universe, and really just in wrestling, this guy's my guy until the day he retires, because it just affected me on more of a level, such a personal level beyond a product. He kept me in this industry, in this art that we call pro wrestling, and he's still a damn fine contributor to it. So yeah. Johnny Mundo, number 1. Easily.
Yeah, man. Obviously. All right, well, I guess we can move on then to our other section. This encompasses all wrestling companies outside of WWE, NXT, New Japan, and Lucha Underground. So it also includes like Impact, Ring of Honor, PWG, AAA, CMLL, all that fun stuff gets included in the other section. I believe you went first for Lucha Underground, so I'll give my honorable mentions here. Dalton Castle.
Okay.
Kagetsu from Stardom.
Okay.
Flip Gordon.
All right.
Tennille Dashwood.
Okay.
And Mayu Iwatani, also from Stardom.
Nice. I'm going to just preface this by saying I did cheat a little bit with this list. Okay. Because there are people on here that work for companies that we already have isolated, but they also work for companies that would fall under other. So if I felt like I didn't have enough room for one category, I used the other category for this because that's just so good, and I wanted to give them their own separate spotlight. It begins with honorable mentions because I only have 3: ACH, Dalton Castle, and Taiji Ishimori.
Nice.
Now, Ishimori works with Impact, so to me, I'm counting it. So that's my.
He works with PWG too, so it makes sense. That works.
So with that said, I guess you give number 5 first for other, right?
Yeah, number 5 is brand new to any of my lists, and it's actually more of a character-driven thing. And it's also, I believe, the first time I've ever had anybody from Impact on any of these lists ever. Number 5 for me is the Smoke Show, Scarlett Bordeaux.
Oh, dude, that's so fucking cool. Oh, wow. No, give it to us, man. That's so fucking cool.
Dude, I just feel like this is the kind of heel character that we needed in 2018. And not saying that we needed a female to show all kinds of skin in 2018, but I feel like a female heel who embraces her sexuality and is over the top about it and goes against all of the, women's wrestling should only be about the wrestling and it shouldn't have anything to do with any physical appearance things whatsoever, tropes that people harp on so much these days. I think it's a perfect heel character for 2018. And I've enjoyed her promos so far. And I know that she's at least decent in the ring. And she's worked in Stardom and all that stuff. So she's not great in the ring, but she is definitely passable in the ring. I'm very much looking forward to what she does over the course of the next 4 months, because that's kind of how long the periods are in between these 5 Fave 5s, to see if she can move up on my list at all, because I don't pay much attention to Impact, but I do go back and watch her segments because you already know I've been a fan of hers since before. Hell, I might have even been, I don't even know, since before she started wrestling on television, because I know that I've been a fan of her for longer than she's been wrestling for Ring of Honor or TNA. So I can genuinely say that I've been a fan of Scarlett Bordeaux since before she even wrestled on television. So I'm a huge fan, and I'm a huge fan of the gimmick that she's got, the whole, I will not be hot shame thing, and some of the one-liners like shut up 5, a 10 is talking and shit like that. She's just good, man. I just like Scarlett. So and really, truthfully, this is also just as much about like, I just feel like I struggled with this list and I really couldn't figure out who to put in here. And I just wanted to kind of highlight how much I've enjoyed Scarlett's work in Impact.
Dude, I am living for your fucking picks right now. Because Killshot and this, that's amazing. I'm going to try and match you here. Because Killshot, you just obliterated me. I'm going to try and meet you where you're at with my number 5. Because it's clear to me that women are ruling the fucking world. Because my number 5 is Jinny fucking Havoc.
Wow, you really only have her at 5. I'm surprised by that.
That's only because of the other people that I have on my list that I really grew to like, maybe even for reasons worse than why I love Jinny. But maybe the next installment she'll climb up, especially with her being a part of the NXT UK brand. And who I hope, dude, with Jinny, I am seriously hoping that she's the first ever NXT UK women's champion.
Oh, and see, I'm expecting Toni Storm to win that. Because I've got Io winning the NYC. I know there are a lot of people saying Toni might win the NYC, but I've got Io winning it. So then I'm going to have Toni winning the NXT UK women's title.
And that makes all the sense in the world to me. I just love Jinny as a character. What a bitch. And like, not even like, oh, I'm a bit, or like, trying to act like it, you say it, but you don't follow through with it.
She just is one.
Just is. And I mean, have you seen the people around her? I mean, to see such hideosity in the world that she has to deal with.
You said hideosity.
I did, and I'm owning it. You know why?
I feel like honestly, that's kind of something that you and I have in common, is that both of our number 5 picks are women that hate ugly.
And why shouldn't they? Like, they didn't ask to be born amongst all that. Ugh. Yeah. So I can't wait to see Ginny in the NYC. And you know what's crazy about Ginny, dude? Honestly, because I think she's the current Progress Women's Champion. I think. You and I are no longer.
I'm pretty sure she is.
You and I are no longer covering Progress, so I don't know, like, if we'll ever tune into that stuff. I mean, if I had a means to, maybe I would. But, like, even seeing her as a babyface, because I have not forgotten about that Riptide wrestling match that she had with Jimmy Havoc. And, like, as a face, there was a likability to her. And I rooted for her. And I'm like, yeah, fuck Jimmy for getting so mad that you used his move and did it better. I'm sorry, Jimmy. I love you that you didn't. But, you know, to me, Ginny can work as a face or as a heel, at least in ring. I don't know about as a character. That's more debatable. But in ring, I'm definitely feeling it. I think she's amazing. I love that she's like a fashionista. You know, that's her thing. Again, another gimmick, a lot like Scarlett Bordeaux in a different way, that I think fits the period that we're in, because you look at the fashion industry and they know that they make items that middle-class people or poor people can't afford. It's a very elitist thing. And you think about wealth inequality and all that, like, we're having more conversations about class in America. And to know that Ginny, who, you know, is UK, granted, but, like, class and all that stuff is a global phenomenon. And to know that she's a fashionista, like, oh, I'm sorry, I wish I could hear your concerns, but I'm too busy shipping the tears of the poor. Like, it's so good to me that she just carries herself like that successful woman that she is. I'm rooting for her all the way. Even if she's not the inaugural NXT UK Women's Champion, I want her to win it at some point and go on a really long run with it until a babyface comes along to topple her. I mean, she even helps people. Elizabeth had nothing before Ginny. Like, I believe her mother was a drug addict living out of some goddamn den until Ginny showed Elizabeth the way. So, yeah, Elizabeth, you can thank Ginny for having a life and an identity. Okay, no, I'm going to stand up to Ginny. Yeah, you ain't shit. But Ginny, I adore her. And I guarantee you the next time we do this, she'll probably be much higher on my list. But for the first ever, I had other picks that I'm going to try and justify. We'll see how it goes. So, who's number 4 on your list?
Yeah, man, 3 of my top 4 non-WWE or just other section guys are hosses. So let's get it started with number 4, Jonah Rock.
Oh, nice, dude. I know we've seen Jonah Rock in, like, PWG, and I've seen him a little bit elsewhere on YouTube, but why do you dig this dude? I'm curious.
Well, it really is the PWG stuff, because I'm relatively ignorant to his other stuff that he's done, but as far as his PWG stuff, I mean, this dude's really, really good in the ring. He's a massive human being who does some crazy shit that massive human beings shouldn't be able to do. And I'm going to say that about one other guy that I have on my list here, but not my number 1, who's also a kind of a hoss. He's not really the big guy that does little guy stuff type, but numbers 4 and 3 for me are, and Jonah Rock definitely fits that billing. And he's not even like super tall. From what I understand, he's only like 5'11", but he's basically built like Jeff Cobb. Like, he's just a thick boy. And he's just, I don't know what else to say, man. He's just a crazy in-ring worker. He's a great powerhouse. He can do high flying stuff. I just really enjoy Jonah Rock as an in-ring performer. I always enjoy his matches. That's kind of all it comes down to.
Pretty much the same argument I would make for my number 4, Timothy Thatcher.
Yes!
Really enjoy his PWG stuff and the stuff I've seen a little bit in, like, Evolve and Progress.
And just to be clear, the only reason I didn't mention him is because I enjoyed him more when we were first exposed to him back in like 2016, I think it was, like his match with Hero and stuff like that. So it's not that I don't like him, it's just that I don't like him now as much as I liked him then.
Makes sense to me. Yeah, man, for me, straight and simple, it just goes back to the affinities I've had about wrestling since I was a kid. That technical catch wrestling style, that scientific style, and Timothy Thatcher, to me, really exemplifies that with how he can work a hold and everything else. The dude's just fun to watch. Nothing more I can really say than that.
All right, man. Well, then we can move on. My number 3, kind of an interesting guy that we just got recent exposure to for the first time, Brody King. I really like Brody King. He is like this big, intimidating, Luke Harper looking son of a bitch, plus maybe like another 60 or 70 pounds. And he does high flying shit that guys half his size can't always do. Like he does like rope walking shit. He does off the top rope shit. He does springboard shit. And he's like 6'7", 320. He is absolutely freaky. And him in the ring is just up my alley. I just enjoy his work, man.
Yeah, man. Beautiful. Nothing more you could say than that. Number 3 for me, you know, putting this other list together was a real struggle, but nothing compares to the ring struggle. Ring Comp's own Walter.
Oh, dude, again, though, you have someone on your list that's my number 1 in that category. Walter is my number 1 in the others category.
Holy shit. Yeah. Dude, you know what really made me open my eyes to Walter was his match with Zack Sabre Jr. in PWG. Because, like, he fucking mauled his ass.
Yeah, dude, Walter is kind of in that place right now where he's becoming an urban legend.
Yeah, he really is. Because, like, dude, for me, and I think it's appropriate that I just kind of, like, set the table for you since he is your number 1. I had heard bits and pieces about Walter, and I had even heard about Ring Comp, but it's like, you know, really hadn't seen much. Then we're seeing him on PWG, and it's like, yeah, he's good, but then something about, and I've had this with plenty of performers. I think it's just a feature of my personality as a wrestling fan. I'll see plenty of guys. Sometimes it takes one performance for me to look at a performer completely differently.
Right.
And that match with Zack Sabre Jr., it was like, holy shit, what have I been missing? The way this dude moves, the way he, like, chops people. Now, I have heard criticisms from some fans that, like, they don't like that, you know, Walter chopping people so hard that their chest bleeds is kind of becoming fetishized in a way, like it's something they look forward to. And maybe I'm guilty to that. And I understand that. But again, when we talk about just getting enraptured in the art, in the performative nature of wrestling, Walter's a fucking obstacle. And like, I look at him work and I'm like, is this person even going to survive Walter right now? He carries himself with a certain credibility that I love. I love the Ring Comp faction. You guys already know that Marcel Bartel was an honorable mention for NXT. I can't wait for him to actually break the top 5 because rest assured he probably will.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, Walter's a beast. But since he was your number 1, I gotta hear you talk about Walter. What do you
man, because like, you know, like everyone's always talking about like, oh, Daddy Ciampa or Daddy Suzuki or whatever. But to me, there is no greater dad figure in wrestling right now than Walter, because he's that guy that you just don't want to fuck with. Like, if I knew that I was going to have a dark alley confrontation from Suzuki, Walter might be the only guy on the planet that I would feel safe to be in my corner and be like, okay, well, if I've got Walter, then I'm okay. I think he can handle Suzuki. Like that's the status that he's reached for me. That's why he's reached like urban legend status, because like he's almost become like an initiation. Like you can't say that you're a tough guy wrestler until you've been chopped multiple times by Walter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, absolutely.
Like he's like the father figure of indie wrestling. It's crazy because like he really does too. Like he comes off as like this crazy, like stone-faced, angry, like disappointed father. And if you do something to him that he gets offended by and you piss him off, he just has that look like, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. And then he chops your chest off.
Exactly. Dude, I love it.
Yeah. So Walter ended up being my number 1 in the other category, which means that I only have my number 2 left, but you still have your 2 and 1. So I'm going to let you go first with your number 2.
All right. My number 2, you know, it's funny because it does relate to number 5 because he trained number 5, Jimmy fucking Havoc. So good. I mean, dude, here's the thing. This guy, to me, because when I grew up, I got to see the tail end of Mick's career, including probably one of the best matches I've seen because it made Randy Orton that night, the Backlash Noah Bard match, you know, Cactus Jack, Randy Orton. And, you know, for me, I always loved Mick's promos, and then he went out and he kind of marred and scarred himself for the fans. Jimmy's in that same vein to me, except if I can actually say it, I think he's a better promo than Mick. Because I think with Mick, a lot of the time, a lot of his best moments does come when he's yelling, but I don't think he always picks his spots the best.
Yeah, I think that might be a little bit like hindsight getting tainted by more recent stuff, because in the late 90s and really in the mid 90s, Mick really legitimately was a promo god. But then, like, mid to late 2000s and early 2010s, Mick Foley became very formulaic. I'm going to talk real quietly, and then I'm going to get really excited and get passionate about what I'm saying, kind of thing.
Yeah, and like,
I think that his promo ability, I do think that even if we want to say Jimmy Havoc is in his prime right now, prime Mick Foley's better than Jimmy.
I mean, and you know what? That's fair. That's fair. But like, and hey, I'll even say like Mick has one of my favorite promos of all time, the Blood and Loogie promo that he cut on Randy Orton in Hershey, Pennsylvania. I think, and a lot of people remember the rocking chair promo from that feud. I prefer that promo to the rocking chair promo that he did, because I was just captivated by it when I was a child. But like with Jimmy Havoc, why I said what I said, this dude speaks in such a way that even like when he's insulting us, like I feel his hurt, I feel his anger, and sometimes I even look at myself and I'm like, well, did I drive him to do this? Like, he's one of those heels, and we've been saying that a lot throughout this installment today, where I feel like the anger is justified. Like, I get why you feel the way that you do to give everything that you do in the kind of matches that you give it in, only to come up short, only to get this much like, oh, good job, Jim, when, you know, like, obviously everybody wants more than that. I totally understand it. I think in the ring, this guy is great. He is a legitimate wrestler as well as hardcore, which that's another reason why I think I give him the edge over Mick, at least on that front. You know, Mick, because of all those matches that he did, couldn't really show much of a wrestling side. The most I've ever seen Mick wrestle was when he was heel Mankind, and it was in that casket match against Shawn Michaels. You actually see him do some takedowns and stuff very early on in the bout. And, you know, I thought it was quite good. But, yeah, like, Jimmy, to me, if you're growing up in the Jimmy Havoc era, you're really seeing something special, because the guy owns the mic. He can own the ring when he really puts his mind to it, especially if it's a death match. And, yeah, I really hope one day we get to see him in a New Japan or a place that isn't Impact Wrestling. I don't even think he's with Impact Wrestling anymore. Where is Jimmy now? I know he's still in progress, but I think
he recently had a debut with Ring of Honor, actually.
Yeah. Well, I hope he does well there, because
I mean, the thing is, like, I would rather see him in ROH or Impact than NXT, because if you put him in NXT, you're completely neutering everything that makes him great. And I really do feel like he needs that freedom. And really, I've been saying for a while now, the ideal landing spots for him are either in Lucha Underground, where he can do everything that you want him to do, or as a member of LIJ in New Japan.
Yeah, I mean, dude, honestly, if he's in Ring of Honor, I'm just going to say this. If you have had fucking Christopher Daniels and Cody as your ROH World Champion, put that belt on Jimmy fucking Havoc. Have him win it in a Fight Without Honor match, you know, that really hardcore match that they do, and then just have him go on a run for maybe like half the year. You know, give him a good 6-month reign. Give him the microphone at every opportunity, because I think the ROH champion is Jay Lethal right now. I don't have a problem with Jay Lethal, but if Jimmy Havoc's with Ring of Honor, he needs to be the next world champion. And maybe that company could get back on track, because if you give him a microphone and you give him viable baby faces for him to beat, sometimes in his environment, sometimes not, because that would keep it interesting. You know, that to me would be one hell of a title reign. So here's to hoping Jimmy Havoc is your future ROH world champion. I might even check out the title win if he does it.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, we're moving on to my number 2. And before I even say who this is, I want to ask you a relevant question.
Okay.
In your mind, are there any performers that you think were worse, or I guess I should say are worse, under the writing of Lucha Underground than they are outside of it?
Worse under the writing of Lucha Underground than they are outside of it.
Basically, people that we can say maybe like Lucha Underground's writing kind of ruined in a way.
Wow. Honestly, no. But that makes me more intrigued about who your number 2 is, because I'm guessing you do have such a person in mind.
Yeah, I do, because Lucha Underground made this guy extremely hard for me to like. But when I see him work shows outside of Lucha Underground, whether it's an NEW show thanks to Wes or PWG, my mind is just blown, and I don't have to worry about the bad character that I think Lucha Underground saddled him with.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Ray Phoenix.
Oh, dude, what? That's
Ray
awesome.
Phoenix is my number 2 other. Yeah, man, because when we see him, and we've seen him in NEW before, and he tore the freaking house down in front of like 250 people. We've seen him multiple times now in PWG, and I just absolutely adore his in-ring work. I think he is the absolute most underbooked, underappreciated guy as far as Lucha Underground goes, because they made him hard to like. Like, if you just let him go out there and wrestle, he's easy to like. But when you make him this like obnoxious, arrogant Kushida type character, this White Knight type character, it makes me hate him. It makes me not like him. It makes me want to see him fail. But when you just let him go out there and do his thing in the ring, he's amazing. He might legitimately have an argument for the single most talented in-ring luchador in the world today. And I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that, because he does things in that ring, and also a little bit outside of it, because he does some flying stuff and rope stuff and stuff like that too, that nobody should be able to do, that nobody's ever done. Like the way that Rey Mysterio innovated some of the high flying stuff in his generation, Ray Phoenix is innovating shit in his generation that we've never seen before. Because Ray does some things. Ray Phoenix, I'm talking about now, because I know I said Rey Mysterio, but I'm past him. Ray Phoenix does some things that we've never seen before. He does things like when you can get chopped, take a back bump on the top rope, and then pop right back up and do your lucha arm drag. No one's ever done that before that I've seen. I've never seen that before in anything. When you know, some of the other rope balancing tricks that he does are unbelievable. He literally jumps off Pentagon's shoulders for double team moves. That's something I've always wanted to see. We've never really seen. I just think that Phoenix, outside of Lucha Underground, where he doesn't have the kind of White Knight character bogging him down, I just love his in-ring work, man. He's just amazing. He blows my mind. So yeah, Ray Phoenix is my number 2 in the other category.
You've been the MVP of this installment today. I'm
I think the funniest thing is I came up with these lists over the course of like an hour and a half.
Yeah, dude. And now for my number 1. Oh, God. I don't want torches and pitchforks, because I mentioned earlier that for the other category, I cheated, because there were guys that I wanted to give their spotlight, but I'm like, I don't really want to leave these people off. My number 1, because they work in progress and they do other stuff, so I'm fucking doing it. Zach Gibson. Liverpool's number 1. I don't
think that's cheating or anything. I think that's perfectly apropos.
I fucking love this dude. He is so fucking good. To me, honestly, it's so weird, because there are times I see him compete and I'm like, for me, he's my favorite technical wrestler. And then I see heel ZSJ. Because I'll be honest, if ZSJ was a face, Zach probably would be my number 1. But Zach is so fucking good at being the bully. It's really hard for me to call. But Zach is just so talented. First of all, I love that he's a genuinely great heel promo. The fucking heat that he got when he won the UK Championship tournament, beating oh God, who is it, Ashton? The buzzsaw, the Kiwi.
Oh, Travis Banks.
Travis Banks, right? Yeah, I was just about to get Travis Banks. The heat that he got was amazing, and his voice. I love his voice on the microphone. We've heard it plenty of times in progress. Liverpool's number 1. And just like the way he talks and the way he delivers. I saw one promo where he told a fan, it's very clear to me that you use your internet for 2 things. 1, the WWE Network, and 2, Pornhub. Like, I just love what an asshole this dude is. And then you get to really his in-ring style, which some of my compliments are going to be very similar to when I was praising Roderick being in the top 5 of my NXT Fave 5. This dude takes a fucking hammerlock and he elevates it to just
literally because he holds it above their heads.
I know, right? And he slams him against the ropes like he did it in his most recent match with Pete Dunne. Throws him into the ring steps, into the ring post, and it reminded me. And this is when my eyes kind of widened, and I'm like, whoa, because it reminded me of how Chris Benoit used to work when he was a heel. One of Brandon Best's first matches, yeah, Brandon, giving you a shout out now, with heel Benoit is him RVD for the Intercontinental title at SummerSlam 2002. Well, if you look at that match, Benoit does the same thing that fucking Gibson does. He takes the hammerlock and he just, into the ring post, into the rope. And, then he does other stuff with it throughout the match. It's just freaking amazing. Like even a Northern Lights with that hammerlock really isolated. So I love everything that Gibson can do with it because it brings me back to that time. And then I love to, and I think I even said this because I did a whole fucking Twitter thread dedicated to Zach Gibson. I was trying to find it before my number got called here.
Damn, dude, I'm glad to know you're passionate about this. That's awesome.
I did dude, here's the thing. I was so fucking passionate about the Twitter essay that I wrote about Zach Gibson that I saw a typo I made and I pretty much rewrote the whole goddamn thing just to get it absolutely perfect because this man is better than mistakes. So yeah, to say I was obsessive would be understating it. And he's just so good. I love that in an era that's all about, breathtaking spots, or to put it in the words of Jim Cornette, who I actually agree with him about this. You put in 10 times the effort for half the pop. People are fucking killing themselves to get a reaction. What's this dude's fucking finisher? An elevated wrist lock called Shankly Gates. I love it because he gets it. It brings me back to, you remember that Paul Heyman interview? Because I know I've quoted it a few times since then. It's one of my favorite things to go to, where Paul Heyman talks about how you build up a move, and he uses the bear hug as an example.
Yeah.
That to me is Shankly Gates. He's gotten submission wins with it. He beat Travis Banks with it to get the UK title shot to begin with. But it's such an elementary looking maneuver. Catch Wrestling, who I know he's still here, freaking shared an image of Billy Robinson doing an elevated wrist lock back in the fucking 60s.
Yeah, dude.
This dude is a fucking purist. When he talks about that Scoose style, that style of wrestling that he does, when he talks about bringing wrestling back to what it used to be, that's what he's fucking talking about. And you know what? Zach Gibson is proof that what's old is new again. I love the way this dude works, and I love how he carries himself. I'll be honest, guys. I fucking love Pete Dunne. In fact, it's kind of a crime I didn't even have him on my list. But again, that just shows you all the guys I'm loving in the NXT roster. Pete Dunne's amazing. Don't doubt that for a second. But I will be the first one to tell you that I was heartbroken that Zach Gibson didn't beat him both in the UK Championship Tournament and recently on NXT, which for the record, I enjoyed both matches, especially Zach just stomping Pete Dunne in the head on Wednesday and playing with his gum shield. But the UK...
You know what, dude? I'm going to say, here's an interesting observation that you may or may not agree with. I almost feel like Pete Dunne is a new era version of Lance Storm.
In what way?
In the way that he's incredible in the ring and always has amazing matches, but I don't really care too much about him from a personality standpoint.
Here's the thing. I don't necessarily disagree with you, but I can understand how what you just said would be debatable.
To me, the most I've ever cared about Pete Dunne, other than when he was, beating Tyler Bate for the NXT UK title, is when he's teaming up with Millie McKenzie as the Bruisermates. I enjoy the hell out of that act, but it's 90% Millie McKenzie and 10% Pete Dunne no-selling her.
Right. No, that's very interesting. I don't know if I agree with that just yet. I'm gonna chew on that, but that's very interesting. But getting back to Zach Gibson, the match he had with Pete Dunne in the UK Championship Tournament, that's a match of the year for me. Candidate. I don't know if it's gonna win the award, and I'll tell you guys right now, it very well may. Because it's just the style of wrestling that I fucking love. I eat this shit up. And Zach Gibson really does it better than most. I don't know if he'll ever be United Kingdom champion. I hope he gets the chance to be. I think he's still currently Progress Tag Champions with Grizzled Young Vets, that whole tag team. I forget who his partner's name is. But, yeah, Zach Gibson, man, is where it's freaking at. I love him. I think we haven't even seen the best from him yet. I still think he's got many more clinics to deliver. And I just had to give him his own number one spot because the dude's fucking amazing.
James Drake, by the way.
James Drake. I love Zach Gibson. Again, Liverpool's number one and my number one on the other list. And there's nowhere else he deserves to be.
That's awesome, dude. I love it. All right, man. Well, that rounds out our 5 fave fives, but now we have the master lists to get through. The 10 through 1 of our top 10 favorite performers in all of wrestling, kind of accumulative of our 5 fave fives, picking our 10 favorites out of the 25 competitors that we just named. So I believe you went first. No, I went first for the last one. So you get to go first here.
So we go from 10 to 1, right?
That's correct.
Number 10 for me, Tyler Bate.
I love it. I love it. Tyler Bate didn't make my top 10 list, but if I went out to 15, he probably would have. Number 10 for me actually ended up being The Miz, believe it or not.
Wonderful. Love it. Number 9, Kairi Sane.
What? I can't believe she's that low for you.
Dude, it's a good fellow thing. I don't know. The people that like beat her out, I'm comfortable with them beating her out, but she's... Did
they beat her out because Scumbag is still more powerful than Goodfellow?
I think on a certain level, yes. Yes, but also because they too are just freaking undeniable, and I've enjoyed their body of work in ring more. It's not that Kairi isn't good in ring, obviously. It's just, for me, it's more the complete package with her. It's very difficult. This series is always very difficult for me, but that's why I love it so much. But yeah, number 9, Kairi Sane. You're next.
Well, honestly, I did make a minor edit to my top 10 during the video. And
Okay.
You might be as surprised at my number 9 as I was about yours.
Okay.
Mil Muertes.
Oh, yeah, it's a surprise. What the hell calling me out? I love it, though. That's so fascinating to me because now I'm curious how the rest of your top 10 plays out. Moving right along, number 8, Minoru Suzuki.
Oh, wow. Very nice. Again, I actually have Suzuki higher on my top 10 than you. That's amazing.
Wow. Okay, who's your number 8?
Adam Cole, baby.
And see, I thought he would have been higher. Oh my God, we're just going to keep surprising each other with this. Okay, number 7, Tommaso Ciampa.
What? Are you kidding me right now?
No, it's really, it's hard to put a number.
No, you're not going to console me on this one. I am full blown offended right now. Okay.
Hey, listen, man, listen. What you had Cole at number 8, like.
Yeah, Cole was also number 2 in my NXT list, though.
Oh, I guess. But yeah, who's your number 7?
My number 7 is Killshot.
Okay. It's a little surprising given how much, like, you talked about him so passionately.
Well, I know, but I just couldn't put him above my top 6.
That's fair enough. Cracking the top 6, I guess, Zach Gibson.
Oh, wow. You put Gibson above Ciampa?
It all comes down to that style, man. I can't say no to quality technical wrestling.
Well, okay, let's stick to that style then. You put Gibson above Suzuki.
Yeah, but only because I know that I'm going to get more time with Gibson than Suzuki. I'm slowly easing myself that Suzuki's probably going to retire in the next 5 years. I mean, what do we expect?
I don't even believe that. No. All right. Well, Suzuki for me.
Okay. Number 5, Hideo Itami.
Damn.
Number 5 for you?
Ready for a shocker?
Yeah.
Number 5 for me, Becky Lynch.
Beautiful. I love it. That's so fucking cool, dude. Number 4, Ishii.
Nice. Number 4 for me, Naito.
Number 3 for me, Andrade Cien Almas.
Damn, you really don't give a shit that they've given him nothing to do.
He's fucking brilliant.
He is brilliant, man. I definitely agree with you on that. My number 3, Tomohiro Ishii.
Oh, dude, I love that he made your top 3. That's fucking cool to me. Number 2, oh, Wendy.
Yep, dude, same here. I have Joe at 2 as well.
And of course, number 1, Johnny fucking Mundo.
Do you want to maybe use some deductive reasoning to try and guess who my number 1 is?
Let me think. Can't be John Cena because he hasn't even been around. Let me think about who's been on your list. Shit. It's not Naito. We know that. It's not Ishii. Let me think about who you said. Wait a minute.
That's right, John. The Gargano fairy tale is.
Oh shit!
Number 1 is Tommaso Ciampa.
Oh my God, you're more evil than me. How the fuck did this happen? Oh my God, it's always the quiet ones.
I know why I'm more evil than you now, though. It's because Mundo turned face.
Oh God, you're right. You're so fucked.
You're softening up because of Mundo.
Oh God. And your evil is so understated because you see us being so explicitly evil and you're just like, Marks. Meanwhile, in your private life, you're like drowning kittens. Oh my God.
I mean, to be fair, I did kind of have a long, passionate diatribe defending a heel now. Killshot is a heel. Let's be real.
Oh my God. So is this your heel turn? What the fuck is even happening right now?
I need to turn heel. I'm tweener. We've been over this.
Yeah, but now the percentage has to be like now with 70% more heel.
Oh, like, no, I'm definitely more 70-30 at this point. Yeah.
Oh my God. Folks, I don't know what's happened. I feel like oh my God, I've been displaced. Oh my God.
And 100% healed John has been displaced by 70% heal me. What?
It's kind of like when I'm that juice brand that's like I'm 90% juice and you're like you're 100% juice or whatever the fuck the 10% was that got past the FDA. That's what's bringing me down. I don't know what's happening. Well, folks, this installment of 5Fave5s has had a lot of twists, a lot of turns, a lot of surprises, and it ends with me having a full-blown identity crisis. So, yeah, that was fucking great. I'm going to question every decision I ever made, and I'm really starting to worry about you now that you're 70%.
Dude, you're starting to worry. I'm starting to worry about you. We need to worry about the Kyrie championship run.
Oh, God, she's so pure. Why is there so much goodness in my life? It's disgusting.
You're becoming too healthy.
Oh, shut up. I'm still maladjusted.
Oh, my God.
There. Ciampa Daddy's your number 1?
Ciampa is, yes, because Ciampa is the best thing going on in wrestling right now.
Oh, God. I can't even disagree, but I did in accordance with my list.
Like Kyrie winning the championship and Mundo turning heel turning face rather have just ruined you.
Don't you tell me what I am. I don't know. I have so many questions for myself. Thank God my insurance pays for therapy. I have so much unpacking to do next week. But in the meantime, folks, this has been John. Not so oh God, if Luna Corva gets around to hearing this, he'll be fucking elated. John's finally been exposed. Maybe, okay? Maybe. But yeah, this is John, Goodfellow, neutral, clearly not evil enough apparently, so I won't even say evil. Thanking all of you for joining us for 5Fave5 number 5. Because we do this like what, every 4 months, right? We do it every quarter. So,
yeah, man. Our next, well, no, not every quarter. It's more like every third. But yeah, our next 5Fave5s video is January 1st of next year.
All right. Well, we'll be ringing in the new year with another 5Fave5. Let's see who can maintain their positions. Let's see who can take some spots of their own. Guys, I love this video series, and this installment didn't disappoint in any way. This was freaking incredible. And yeah, now I'm just going to hand it over to Ashton to take us home.
Oh, all right, guys. Well, this has been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed the hell out of it. Apparently, I had a lot to say about Killshot that I didn't even quite know that I was harboring. And apparently, I appreciate the best quality heels in wrestling today more than John. So you do the math on that. But this was so much fun. Of course, I would appreciate it if you would like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. We do stuff like, well, we do 5Fave5s every 4 months, but we just kind of talk about our fandom pretty often. Of course, you can also follow us both on Twitter, like our Facebook. donate to our Patreon, buy our merch on Teespring, and the most important thing that I always ask you to do is to share this video and share this channel, excuse me, with all of your wrestling fan friends. Let them in on the secret, guys. Let them know TwitWoW are the workhorses of the YouTube wrestling community. We are the best kept secret in the YouTube wrestling community. And I just love what we do. And I hope that you guys love what we do as well. So we'll see you all for our SmackDown live reactions on Tuesday. If you're not here for that, but you're here for Lucha Underground, we will see you on Wednesday night for that. And then next Thursday is our Q&A. So if you have questions that you would like to ask us, the best way that you can ask those is by replying to John's pinned tweet on his Twitter page. That's linked in the description. And if you don't have a Twitter and you don't want to make a Twitter, all you got to do is just leave a comment on one of our videos and just ask the question in that comment, and we will record it and then answer it next Thursday. So that's how that's going to go. And we will see you guys whenever you decide to show up next. But whenever that happens to be, all you got to remember to do is stay tuned.